come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
We pray.
We pray.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, so I was gonna go off into all the rest of the stuff that come with it, but I don't got my paperwork. So the opening scripture is gonna be coming from Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs 1. I'm gonna pick this up at verse 2. Or verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. Today's scripture comes from Proverbs chapter 1, verses 1 through 6. May the Lord add the blessing to the reading here and the doing of his word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so we don't really have a lot of time because we got to be to the airport about 5:45, 6, something like that. So we're going to get right into the lesson. And first and foremost, I'd like to say happy Sabbath to everybody. Say today. Happy Sabbath. Sabbath to everybody that's watching online, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, all the different social media platforms. Good to be in Dallas again. And we're going to look at something that I'm almost sure, well, y'all been in the news lately. Dallas has been in the news lately, and the news ain't been too good. So, mainly to refresh some of y'all memories, if you're unaware what I'm talking about. A few weeks ago, y'all had a Q&A in here regarding marriage. Well, actually, the Q&A wasn't about that. And if y'all don't mind, y'all can shut them doors because we're not hanging out outside. So y'all got to shut the doors and get inside class. Please don't clap. I love you, Jen, but don't clap. y'all come on in. We're gonna shut the doors because not only was the Q&A off, but seemed like everybody who was in here in Q&A that day, all y'all off. Because ain't no order inside this church. First off, if y'all don't know anything about the Bible, women ain't supposed to be talking in the church. So I go back and listen to the video, and I hear all this talking going on. And that's completely out of line. Then on top of that, we got Brother Abijah, teaching Bible study from, you can have a seat, brother, because we're going to discuss it. And it's all love, because I had to get corrected myself before, but I'm pointing out things that I heard on the video. Now, I heard people talking, women in here talking. That's out of line. The Bible say that women's supposed to be silent in the church. Now, I do run a location in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay? So just understand, I know and understand that it wasn't like Atlanta's always been good. Me and Brother Jediah started off in the house together, and my wife and his wife used to get out of line, especially when they would be trying to push their agenda. Now they righteous sisters, but at the same time, when y'all want to double team and get y'all point across, y'all y'all can make that happen. And sometimes we would have to let them know, look, it's time for y'all to shut up as well. So we had an opportunity to get that training in at the house before we got to the hotel. And then when we got to the hotel, you had some things, we'd kind of get out of line, and we would, at that time, as brothers and as teachers, we had the right to exercise our authority. And that means be quiet, sisters. Because if you go back and listen to this video that y'all did a few weeks ago in Q&A, the noise in here was ridiculous. And that don't make no sense because you ain't gonna do that if Jesus is here. You're gonna humble yourself and be quiet. And that's what you need to do. You act like the Lord is here. Then on top of that, we got Brother Bias in here. First off, misleading y'all. Second off, talking in the back of the room when that's not supposed to be done. You know, it's only one teacher in the room. And I also talked to one of my teachers, Justin. I told him, I've been telling him for years, you know, you gotta maintain some order. It's okay to be cool, it's okay to be nice and stuff. But look, it's a time of everything. It's also a time to put your foot down and everybody need to be quiet. Because I'm hearing all type of input and opinions. And for the most part, nobody knows what they're talking about. Nobody in here knew what they were talking about. You might have had somebody know, but he might have been getting overshadowed. And then word got back to Elijah, which some of y'all might have heard him do a class on this a couple weeks ago called Dallas Q&A. That's crazy when you got to do a class called Dallas Q&A. You know, and it was all about what went on inside this room when it comes to marriage, you know, and fornication. And it's all wrong. It's all wrong. Like I told Justin, you got to be able to identify agendas. Because if we're going to have somebody just pushing, keep on pushing on the question, pushing, then that lets me know as a teacher, it seems like an agenda is being pushed. And all teachers know that for the most part. Even the advisors know it. You know, look, if we can't answer the question right now, we'll come back to this later on. This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new to him. Ain't nothing new to me. He know it. But that was out of line. So go to 1 Corinthians 14, because we don't, you know, this ain't really about the sister doing all the talking and all that noise in here. That ain't really what it's about. We got the title of it, and we're going to look at it. And this is in hopes of people, you know, taking correction so they can actually do what the Lord wants them to do. You know, if you call to be a teacher, man, hey, sometimes you got to accept correction, you know, and then from there on, the Lord will promote you. Or in the same breath, if you can't accept it, then hey, you know, whatever the Lord wants to happen, that's just what happens. But the goal is to recover and bring people in. I done got checked several times. I done disagreed with things several times. But what I did was, and I'm from Florida. Come on, man, we loud. We don't care what nobody say. We don't care what nobody say. We'll fight you to the teeth, man. But I had to learn how to humble myself. I had to learn how to shut up. When somebody got experience over me, 20 years, 30 years over me, I had to learn how to be quiet. You go into a workplace, you may see how to do something better. But by that person having seniority over you, what you gonna do? They're gonna make you step back. And you're gonna have to respect that authority. So just like with this, even if you think you saw something, you gotta step back. Step back, and then if it's meant to be known, it'll be known. But at the same time, look, you gotta have some witnesses. Now we ain't gotta force nobody. If it's that simple and clear, it shouldn't have to be forced. So I don't see it, but this is what I do see. 1 Corinthians 14. We're going to pick this up at verse 40. And this ain't like, you know, we trying to pick on nobody. That ain't what this is about. What this is about is that this has been addressed 4 or 5 times. I got all the dates. So I ain't just coming out here doing things because I want to do it. You know, I got somebody over me as well. You understand what I'm saying? And all of us fall in line. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, God is running all of it. 1 Corinthians 14, pick this up at verse 40. And y'all gonna see myself a whole lot more often. So I'll be back here on the 25th, because this here was just completely out of line. JD will be here next week. You know what I'm saying? The goal, we thought Abad's gonna be able to run it, but I don't know how it's gonna be. We don't know. We hope that that can be the case. It just takes time. People gotta, move back and let the Lord use you in the right way. But it can't be where it's causing division. It can't be like that. 1 Corinthians 14, pick it up at verse at 33. 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. What it says?
For God is not the author of confusion,
Right, keep reading.
but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the churches.
Right, now notice what it says. Now this is Paul writing to those in Corinth, telling them how to set churches up, right? He said, let your women keep silence in the church. Go on and read.
For it is not permitted unto them to speak,
Keep reading.
but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law.
Right, so I'm not just telling y'all need to be quiet, sisters. I'm letting y'all know, based on what I heard in that video, y'all are completely out of line. Now, you probably know about it. You probably think that's cool. No, don't raise your hand while I'm talking, sister. Wait after class. That's my point. Like, you got to learn how to deal with order. Got to learn how to deal with order. So we're not just making this up, but at the same time, if you don't know no better, then I don't expect you to do no better. All right. But after the day, you know what it said in these scriptures, right? The woman's supposed to be silent in the churches. So when it comes to Q&A, it's okay. We'll let you talk. You know what I'm saying? We open the floor up for you to come ask questions. But the floor is not open for you to be talking across the room. The floor is not open for you to be talking across the room and for us to hear women in the background giving their opinions about adultery, nothing about the Bible. Be quiet unless you address. If you're not addressed, then be quiet. Then if you got a husband and you got a question, you need to ask him, can you ask that question? And if he tells you, yeah, that's fine. If you ain't got no husband, you in the church, you single, you got a question, raise your hand. Raise your hand. One of the things we always talk about, we like to talk about how the Muslims got all this discipline and stuff like that. Look, God got discipline, and you can't get no better discipline what God has. So this is something that's in the Bible, and this is how you need to carry yourself. He said, look, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak. What else to say?
But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law.
That's right. So it's taking you back to Genesis, where it talk about the woman going, after she sinned, after she talked to that tree of knowledge of good and evil, after that, hey, her desire gonna be to her husband, and he gonna rule over her. That's what it's taking you back to. So that's why it says she's commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. Go on and read what else it says.
And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home.
So if you got a question, you know what I'm saying? Like if you got a question and you ain't allowed to talk in church, when you get home, talk to your husband. Ask him. A lot of times he gonna come bring the message. He gonna come bring the, your question. But the point is, we allow y'all. We allow sisters to talk in the church. We allow you to ask questions. But you can't be out of line. Y'all can't be out of line making all this noise. Some of y'all worse than the kids. Like, you pull a Bible study up, you'll see it on Facebook, it's on William page. And then you just listen to all that talking and chattering going on in the background. You got brothers doing the same thing, don't get me wrong. You got brothers doing the same thing. And a lot of times, the reason the women do stuff, because the brothers ain't setting no example. See, that's what we should have been checking. We learned about fornication, what that means. We should have been checking these sisters making all that noise inside the church. That's what we should have been doing, because that was out of line. But we missing that. So from here on out, y'all gonna have to operate with some order. If you're not addressed, I don't need to hear no sisters in here talking. Because this is what come out of your Bible. This is out of your Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Go to 1 Timothy. And the reason why he was saying this is because you get to church, everybody got a song, everybody got a hymn, got one person trying to speak in tongues, and it just causes confusion. Well, that's what it sounded like a few weeks ago. No confusion all over the place, which is unnecessary. 1 Timothy, might be 1 Timothy, or 2 Timothy. And I know y'all see 2 classes. I don't want y'all thinking it's just about advisory. He taught trumpets Thursday. William, the other day, William dropped the ball on trumpets. I dropped the ball on trumpets when I went to Philadelphia. Matter of fact, Abijah was there. He saw me teach trumpets in Philadelphia, I think 2013. And they might have thought it was good. I had about 38 scriptures like William had. And I was all over the place. Almost 3 hours to teach a trumpets lesson, which should be about an hour and a half. So I understand. See, William, he got to take responsibility for some things. He got to fill in. So he ain't really have a chance to really get a good understanding. I understand that. So y'all got 2 of them. Y'all got trumpets of God, and you got marriage, adultery, and fornication. So some things that Will said in the class was wrong. But at the same time, like I say, it ain't about trying to make nobody look bad. It's about correcting some things. If we don't have a chance to correct the things that was said the other day, Jediah will be here next week. He'll touch on it. 1 Timothy, what it say in verse, I think it's 1 Timothy 2 and 12, or maybe 2 Timothy. Yeah, it's 1 Timothy 2 and 12. Go and pick that up. What it say?
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
So now, once again, Paul writing to Timothy. First he's writing to those in Corinth. Now he's writing to Timothy. He say, look, but I suffer, what he say? But I suffer not a woman to teach, right? Go ahead.
Nor to usurp authority over the man.
Nor to usurp authority over the man, because the man is the head, sisters and brothers. He said, look, I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority. What else?
But to be in silence.
But it's all back to setting up churches. If it's good for them, it's good for us. But inside the church, y'all don't got that power to do that. I don't know what you think, but this ain't no Sunday church. We're going to run it like the Lord has it set up. And some of these things that were put in the Bible, we pull from those and they work out just fine. That's how we keep order. For the most part, you look at all our churches, the brothers run everything. From announcements to setting things up. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that we don't need the sisters. We need y'all because we can't function without y'all. But when it comes to order and how things, who run it, the brothers got to take care of everything. So just like inside the church, look, we shouldn't be hearing y'all making all this noise. Because if anything, you're going to come to church and be humble and be quiet. And then when you have a question, we'll address that question, but it's going to be done in a righteous way. If it don't fit the answer that you think it should be, then just sit down and be quiet. You don't need to be whispering to your girl about it. No, be quiet. When you go out the room, then you talk about it. Because that's absolutely rude. You're not going to do that in school. So if I see it, you're going to have to get up out of here. You can go in the hallway and chill and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you're not going to do that in here. We're not going to do that. We're dealing with the Lord's business. All right, so now let's get into the lesson. Let's go over to, you can finish it. What is that, 13?
For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Right, so this is why you need a head in the first place. You got deceived. The woman got deceived. Adam willfully did it. He didn't get deceived. You see? If you weren't here, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Yeah, you get out. You go out the door. Yeah, shut the door and stay out. Yeah, you stay out. But that's it. We're not playing that. I don't care to get mad all they want to. I'm the one you get mad with. I'm that dude, straight up. Because I don't play about the Lord's business. I don't play about the Lord's business. And this thing, and everybody got to go outside. Listen, y'all got to go outside and be this is Sabbath. This is Sabbath. If she want to make all that noise, give her her stuff, she can hit the road. Yeah, she can hit the road. She can catch the bus. Y'all put her on the bus. Give her some bus fare. How you gonna have? Ain't nobody say nobody named it. So how you gonna? That's what they say. Hit dog holler. A hit dog will holler. Ain't nobody talking to her. If it's a problem with you, but this is what I'm talking about. This is what should have been addressed a few weeks ago. We going back and forth, worrying about marriage, adultery, and fornication. Not one man in here had the galls to stand up and say, look, sisters, y'all getting out of line. Ain't nobody have the courage to get up and say, hey, brothers, we making too much noise in here. Ain't nobody have the courage to say that. So I got to come from Atlanta and I got to address y'all on some nonsense, right? So next time, brothers, don't let it happen. All right, so now let's get into the word. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. They say, oh, that stuff don't faze me, man. I've been doing it so long. I've seen them come and go. If you want to get mad, look, catch the bus and go home. I'm sure it's a bus somewhere around here. Call a lift. I don't care. You're not going to stop me from preaching the gospel. And that's probably why she ain't got no head. Because you need to learn how to be quiet. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. It's called being humble. Ecclesiastes 7. We're going to pick this up at verse 5. Ecclesiastes 7. We're going to pick this up at verse 5. Go and read that. What it says.
It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools.
Right. So it may not sound good. It may sound like we, being anal. No, man. Listen to what it says. It's better to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of fools. The song may sound good, but coming from fools, it ain't going to do you no good. So it's better for you to hear the rebuke of the wise because that's going to save you. That'll do you some good in the long run. That's what we have to understand. I remember Elijah got on me about animal sacrifice. And I'm sitting up here, I'm studying Brother Bowie like I used to study Michael Jordan. So as soon as they say something to me about animal sacrifice, I'm kicking. JD hit me. I'm like, man, so you mean to tell me Bowie wrong? They're like, man, read it to me. Read it to me in Galatians 3 where it say anything about animal sacrifice. Once again, I got pound on my face. I'm like, dang, man, he always get me, bro. But I was going with the crowd, not really studying, just listening to everybody. And then when I sat down, I had to look at it. I said, Lord, can you show me this? The Lord started showing me. Then he started opening my understanding. But at first, it didn't sound good to me, though. Then I remember one time I taught Pentecost. I based Pentecost off unleavened bread. I'm teaching it, me and JD, I'm teaching it. He in the audience listening. He pull up on me real smooth. He's like, hey, mate, how you calculate Pentecost? I said, well, you do it off unleavened bread. But I knew in my head, I said, oh, my God, what I did now. He said, that ain't how you do it, man. I said, man, show me how to do it, bro. I had to humble myself. So I can get better as a teacher. See, it may seem like, we're saying things about teachers and stuff like that, like Brother Will came and said something last week. Look, that wasn't for you, brother. That was because he got it from up top. Elijah told him to mention. Just like right now, hey, same thing. It ain't like we trying to, I talked about it. Me and Brother Lee, so if anybody can deal with this subject, we all talk. Me, him, and Brother Lee talked on the phone about it. So I got first-hand account to it. But still, we ain't doing this to hurt anybody. All of us have said some things, might have said some things. I know I have. I don't know about anybody else, but I know for me myself, have said some things that have been wrong, and I got corrected. And even if I thought it was right, I had to sit on it, though. Like I told him, I say, man, sometimes you think you got it, bro. Just sit down on it, bro. Just sit back on it. He told me, he said, well, Nate, I ain't teaching it. I said, well, you tell anybody? He said, I think I told one or two people. I said, well, you're teaching it, bro. You're teaching it. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Lord will give it to you sometimes. He'll clear things up if it need to be cleared up. So I done been down that path. So that's what it's all about. But go over to Genesis 2. Mainly the other two scriptures mainly hit on the same thing. But let's look at this. Genesis chapter 2. And I say, y'all can look at those on your own. Mainly the same thing, talking about a wise man. But you know what? We got to read Proverbs. Proverbs 9. Proverbs 9. Y'all wouldn't believe me if I told y'all. If I don't read Proverbs, you know who's going to be calling me? Who? Yeah, JD going to call me. Yeah, I'm like, man, why you read that Proverbs? What's up with Proverbs, man? Like, man, you got to have a Proverbs scripture in there. But the thing is, I'm older than Jediah. but I got respect for the order, though. You understand what I'm saying? I got respect for the order. So Proverbs 9, pick this up at verse 9. When you get to go and read.
Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser.
He said, look, give instruction to a wise man. And this is what this is all about. He said, look, give instruction to a wise man. Give instruction to a wise man, and he'll be what?
Yet wiser.
He'll be yet wiser. Go ahead.
Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning.
Right, and that's what had to happen with myself. You know, I could have took it and been like, you know what, man, I ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say. And that did come up, you know, that rebellious, you know, just naturally who I am, where I'm from, that did come up. I ain't trying to hear none of that, bro. I know what it said. I was like, you know what though, I'm doing the same thing I was doing at World Changes. Let me back up. You know, I'm doing the Creflo move again. So let me back up and listen to what he got to say. And then when I listen, then I start understanding. Then my understanding started becoming real, you know, started expanding a whole lot. So it says here, give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. What else it say?
Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning.
He say, teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. And that's what it's all about, right? It's all about helping one another grow. So we supposed to be a body. We supposed to be a family, right? All right, so we have things in the body or in the family, you know, that need to be checked. We gonna check it. Ain't about embarrassing nobody. It's about, you know, it's about all this trying to make the kingdom. And sometimes things get in there that got to be pulled up out of it, but it's still family though. You know, I'm just saying, like after the day, you know, you still my nigga, right? You still my dog, right? We still Hebrews, right? That's what I'm saying. After the day, don't be like, oh, we ain't Hebrews. No, what? I can't say nothing. So let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Because we cool as long as nobody say nothing to me, right? That ain't how it's supposed to be. That ain't how it's supposed to be. Genesis 2. And let's go look at marriage from the beginning. Genesis 2, let's see how the Lord had it set up. Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to pick this up at verse 23. Genesis 2, verse 23, after everything was created. Go and read that. What it says.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Now look at what it says. He said, Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And really what you kind of see in here, you know, it's almost like a ceremony in a sense. It's not a ceremony, but, you know, God is bringing this woman to Adam. And he agreed to it, didn't he? He's like, man, boy, she fine. You know, yeah, she bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, right? He said, look, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Because it tell you in 22, and the real was the Lord God had taken from man, made here a woman, because she was taken out of man. I'm sorry, in 22, he said, the real was the Lord God had taken from man, made here a woman, and brought her to the man, right? All right, go ahead and read. What else it said?
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Keep reading.
She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
Okay, but why he ain't turned it down? Why ain't turned it down? I mean, first, evidently God, man, you know it got to be good, right? You know. But he agreed to that. Then what's going to happen? Go ahead.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife.
Okay, so now you see this in Genesis, in the beginning of the Bible, right? You know how sometimes I'm just trying to put some in your head. I want to show you how sometimes we will allow some things to pass, but in this case right here, we don't allow this to pass. I'm gonna give you an example. All right, so a lot of y'all, when it comes to the Quran, we don't want to deal with the Quran. And one of the things that we'll use is, first off, the Quran is false. But we'll say things like the Bible came around how many years before the Quran? Somebody know, right? If you don't know, the saying is the Bible came around 600 years before the Quran came into existence. So that means since the Bible was there first, I'm going to go with what the Bible says, right? I'm going to go with what the Bible says. And that's, some people that's been in the Word for some time know that the Bible has been here before. So just remember, I'm going to tell you why I say that later on. But at this point in Genesis, you see them coming together, they marry, in other words, because the marriage is based on an agreement. That's how marriage is set up. The marriage is based on an agreement. For example, if you go to Matthew chapter 1 and you look at what happened with Joseph, Joseph was going to put Mary away, right? Y'all know about that. He was going to put Mary away because she was pregnant and they hadn't laid together. But if you go read it on your own, the angel came and told him, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy what? Thy wife, right? But they hadn't laid together. So how was she his wife? Because the marriage is based on an agreement. There's a covenant that's made between two people. In this case, it's supposed to be like this in the world today. Like, for example, with my daughter. She got married to Brother Johnny down in Atlanta. But he had to do the things I told him to do before he could take my daughter as his wife. Because we try to do it as best we can according to the Bible. Then I agreed to it. Then he took her as his wife. But he had to come to the Father first. That was an agreement that me and him both made. This is usually how it's done. But once we agreed to it, look, that's his wife. Now, when they lay together, hey, that's just going to consummate the marriage. That's going to finalize the deal. Because if you look at right here, look at verse 25 and read that. What does it say?
And they were both naked.
Uh-huh.
The man and his wife.
Wait a minute. The man and his what?
Wife.
It don't say they had sex, do it?
No.
They ain't even, matter of fact, they didn't have sex until Genesis chapter 4, based on the conversation that the Lord was having with Moses. But you seeing an agreement being made here. Hey, the Lord brought Eve to the man. He cool with it. That's what's going to cause him to make that statement. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh, right? Then it says, and they both were naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. But this is in Genesis, the beginning of your Bible, right? All right, so now let's move a little further. Let's go to Romans chapter 7. Because this is where husband and wife going to come about. Now, let's see how long they're supposed to be together. Let's see how long they're supposed to be together. Because another question that was on the table was how long is the woman in adultery? How long will she be committing adultery if her husband put her away? Is it adultery? In other words, I'm going to just paraphrase. Is it adultery after she has sex with a man one time and that's it? No, that ain't how it works. As long as you're in that jacked up situation, it's adultery. Matter of fact, the tag that's going to follow you as a woman, you're going to be called an adulteress. Hey, sister adulteress, how you doing? Because that's what you are. Because it's done out of line. That's just like a sister down in Atlanta, go to another location. She got married. Brother didn't even put her away. She got married to somebody else. Not in the word, look just like a husband. That's the great thing about it. But she got married, wasn't put away, and the people at the church sitting up there congratulating her. I said, how y'all going to congratulate adultery? Because that's what it is. It's adultery. So Romans 7, let's see how long it's supposed to be. Before we get to the intricacies of adultery and fornication, let's see how long the marriage is supposed to last. Romans chapter 7, and pick this up in verse 1. Romans 7, in verse 1. Go and read that for me.
Know ye not, brethren,
Go
for
ahead.
I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth.
So look at what it says. It said, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he lives. So let's see what it's talking about. Go ahead and read. What does it say?
For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. Okay, so this is really how long marriage is supposed to go, right? As long as he's alive, hey, she's bound to her husband. As long as he's alive. Now, we ain't talking about all the things in between. We're going to get to that. But just marriage in itself, this is how it's supposed to be. To death, they say that at the wedding, they say to death do us part, right? Well, that's really how it's supposed to be.
So it says, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he live, right? But what?
But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband.
Right, so it says, but if the husband be dead, now she's free, right? She's free now. That's why it says here, but if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. But what if he's not dead? What that say?
So then if, while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress.
Okay, so look, if the husband ain't dead, she married to somebody else, what is she called?
An adulteress.
She called an adulteress. That's why I said you're going to have that tag on your tag sitting right next to you. Hey, sister adulteress, how you doing today? Because that's really what you are. Let's not fake it. That's what you are. You marry somebody else, and your husband is alive, you are an adulteress. Now, we're not talking about all the intricacies of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, if he's not serving God. We ain't talking about that. We're just talking about from Genesis, how marriage is supposed to go and how long it's supposed to last. It's not like God is giving you a way out of that, besides what we're going to get into, which is where you're going to see he's going to allow, people going, matter of fact, about 1 Corinthians 7, y'all was talking about it. We're going to look at Deuteronomy 24. We're going to look at Deuteronomy 22. We're going to look at those as well. But at this point, though, marriage is supposed to go for how long? Until that man is dead. Then if he dies, then she has a right to go get her another husband. But you can't go in the world and get you any type of husband. He got to be in the word. 1 Corinthians 7 tell you that, I think around verse 39. You get you another husband in the Lord, though. Like, it's not like you're going to be in the word serving God, then, your husband died. You just go get you anybody because you're alone. You need that comfort. You need somebody to talk to. No, it don't work like that. Be patient. So now, let's go over to Deuteronomy 22. Finish that verse 3. Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress.
Right, so if her husband is dead, she's free from that law, right? And she's not an adulteress. Go ahead.
Though she be married to another man.
Right, so if she married to another man, it's okay if her husband's dead, though, right? But if her husband's alive, she married somebody else, she's an adulteress. Like that example I gave you, that sister get married to another man, her husband didn't even put her away. He just made some bad mistakes out there in the streets. He was in the word. He back in the word now. He started falling off. He was getting his stuff together, trying to get his family back. But the church was pushing her, saying, no, you need to leave him. But a woman don't got that right to do that. See, y'all drop the ball when you allow Satan to get inside your head. Not y'all per se. We just talking about the woman. When Eve allowed that to happen, hey, now you got some order there, sister and brother. And that man is now your head. You don't have that power to do that. So it says, so then if while her husband lives, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress, but if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So now let's go over to Deuteronomy 22. And this is something that's been brought up pertaining to this question that was going on in the class. But if y'all know anything about grade school, listen, pay attention. Pay attention. Y'all know y'all have been taught about topics and subjects in school, right? In elementary, you've been taught about, they teach you that in English class, don't they? Everything got to, in other words, it got to make sense. You write the paper, it's all gonna make sense, right? You got a topic, you got the body, everything gonna make sense, right? So when we look at Deuteronomy 22, has absolutely nothing to do with Matthew 5 and 18. Absolutely nothing. So Deuteronomy 22, let's pick this up at verse 13. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 13. Go and read that for me.
If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father...
Now, first off, we have to understand what's going on right here. The dude don't like the girl. He don't like her. That's what it means when he say he hate her. He don't like her. He don't want to be with her. Because we're going to see at the end how it's going to finish off, and, when we get to the final verse. But the point is, he don't want to be with it, so he's going to try to make something up. Or he's going to try to come up with a way to get rid of her. So here we go. He's making up a lie on this sister. So it says here, if any man take a wife and going unto her and hate her, right? And let's not act like that don't happen. Let's not act like that don't happen. You done got with her now. You done satisfied yourself. Now you don't want it no more. That's why one thing Brother Bowie says, you got to meet him in the head before you meet him in the bed, right? Got to get to know him first. Get to know each other here first before you lay down with each other. Because it ain't supposed to be we having sex and then, okay, I don't want to be with you no more. And that happens inside the truth. And that shouldn't be. But he said, look, if any man take a wife and going unto her and hate her and what?
And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
Okay, so in other words, because the agreement with the father is that the man is made, it was based on his daughter being a virgin. That's just like if I told Brother Johnny that my daughter ain't never been touched by a man. I knew that because I never let out of my sight like that. I stayed on top of even my son ain't never been with a woman. Because I stayed on top of him like that. But the point is, we talking about the woman here, right? So it says here, if any man take a wife and go unto her and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. In other words, I thought she was a virgin, but when I laid with her, she wasn't a maid. Go on and read what else it says.
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her.
Now look at what now the father got proof that his daughter is a virgin. He got proof. That's why it says here, it says, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity. In other words, we have some proof to show you that our daughter was a virgin. And the proof is that after they lay down together, you're going to be able to see on the sheets, there's blood on the sheets. So all he got to do as a father is open up that sheet and show, look, they're going to token of virginity right here. So it happens to be that. Guess what? Now the man is lying with her. And I know it still works today. Because my daughter called my wife, and they was like, we looking at it. We just amazed how the Bible has said certain things was going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? But that's how they did it back then. And I didn't want to say nothing, but I was like, it's going to be on. I know it. But it says, look, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hate her. See, that's the point right there. He don't like her. He don't want to be with her. So he's going to try to find a way to get out of this. What else is that?
And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity.
Okay, so he said, look, this guy done said, I found her not to be a maid, but look, think of my daughter's tokens of virginity right here. Look at the sheet. Go ahead and read.
And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
So they're going to open up that sheet, and they're going to open up that cloth before the elders of the city, and they're going to witness it for themselves to see that, yes, she was a virgin. Go ahead and read. What else is that?
And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel.
Right, so he done lied on him. He done lied on him. So because of that, now you got to pay a fine in a sense. And that fine that he got to pay, they're going to give it to the father, since you lied on this man's daughter. Well, guess what? He still ain't got no ticket out of the marriage, though. Go on and read. What else it said?
And she shall be his wife.
Even though you tried to lie. See, the context, it let you know he was going to lie on her to get out of that. It ain't talking nothing about adultery, ain't saying nothing about fornication. It ain't talking about no bill of divorce. Do y'all read that in the scripture anywhere? That don't say nothing about bill of divorce right there, does it? Because when Jesus brings this up, he's not talking about Deuteronomy 22. Ain't got nothing to do with it. It's just telling you what to do if this dude allowing your daughter. Now, if she happened to be not a virgin for real, what we gonna do with her? Go ahead and read.
He may not put her away all his days.
So you gotta keep her. But if there's a chance that she did sleep around, what else to say? Go ahead and read what else to say.
But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house.
And what's gonna happen to her?
And the men of her city shall stone her with stones.
So wait, stop. Let's just use common sense. That means she gonna get stoned, right? So how in the world am I gonna give her a bill of divorce to go out with her? Think about that. How am I gonna give a dead woman a bill of divorce? Because that ain't talking about this. This ain't talking about the bill of divorce right here. This talking about if she messing around, or she messed around and based on what her father knew and her mother knew, she's supposed to be a virgin. If she's not a virgin, kill her. So why are we using Matthew to come and use the Deuteronomy 22? They ain't got nothing to do with the conversation, not whatsoever. Go on and finish reading, bro.
Because she hath wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house, so shalt thou put evil away from among you.
Right, so you're going to kill her. She done. That situation's happening. She a virgin, hey, buddy stuck with her. She not a virgin, kill her. She ain't going to get no bill of divorce. Let's go look at what it's talking about bill of divorce. Let's go to Deuteronomy 21:14. Let's see what is coming to the picture. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1. Go and read that.
When a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find not favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
So what's the uncleanness he's going to find in her? What's the uncleanness? She couldn't have committed adultery, right? Can't be adultery. Because what's supposed to happen if she committed adultery? Supposed to be dead, right? Can't be fornication, because that's not allowed in Israel. So evidently, he don't want to do coming up with something. I don't like it. Breath stink. You don't know how to cook. Should have figured that out before you lay down with it. So he's just trying to find us something, because that's how some people do. They just want to, like they will say on Martin, GTD. I ain't got to say it. For some of y'all that's old enough, I got the man. Some of y'all young people not going to understand it. That's fine. You don't need to understand it. And don't go back to look at Martin and see what he was talking about either. But some people, that's just their goal, to lay down with her, and that's it. But he said, look, when a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, he don't like the woman. And what else? Go ahead.
Because he had found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Okay, so now what we're going to next, now this is where you see bill of divorce introduced. Got nothing to do with Deuteronomy 22. This is where Jesus is going to come back to, Deuteronomy 24. So it says here, when a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. What else is that?
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
So she got that freedom. He gave her a bill of divorce. She could be another man's wife. We read this in the law of Moses. Go ahead and read. What else is that?
And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife after that she is defiled.
So she can't go back to her first husband. If her latter husband died, she can't go back. She defiled. They try to do that. Can't go back. Go ahead.
For that is abomination before the Lord, and thou shalt not cause the land to sin which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
All right, but I do think we need to put that AC on about 72. It's freezing in here, ain't it? Y'all ain't cold? I might be under the vent. It feel like we're in a bank. It's freezing in here. But don't make it too hot, though. Don't make it too hot. I don't want people to get too hot. You know what they say. We draw heat, right? But it says here, look, he done found a problem with her. Come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he had found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her bill of divorcement and give it in the hand and send out of his house. Now go to Deuteronomy 21 right quick. Deuteronomy 21. And let's look at I think verse 15. Deuteronomy 21, verse 15. And this gonna mention two wives, but this ain't about two wives. I just want to show you how it is possible for a man just not to like you for nothing. Go ahead and read. What else it say? Read 15.
If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. Okay, so now in other words, the inheritance goes to the firstborn son, right? You got two wives, and the wife that you don't like or that you hate, she happened to have that firstborn son of yours. Don't try to show favoritism to the wife that you like and give her son, the inheritance that belongs to the firstborn. But the point of showing you this is that, hey, it's a possibility that you can just hate him, right? That you can hate the wife. Like in Deuteronomy 24, just don't like her. Like, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. Now, like I said, it can't be adultery that she did because you got to kill her. But you find some uncleanness, you don't got faith, she don't got favor in your eyes, give her a bill so she can go. Let her go, right? So now, is that still good today, though? Because this is what I heard on the video, that we trying to make it seem like this is okay today if she's not a virgin, right? That don't make sense. That don't make sense. Brother Baja told me on the phone. Brother, don't please.
Don't say false things about me.
All right, well, this is what we can do, brother. This is what we can do. You're going to have to leave. You're going to have to leave, bro.
You can't do that.
Bro, but you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to leave, bro. Like, you're going to have to leave the room, bro. All right, well, just, hey, bro, but you're going to have to leave. You have to leave, bro. But you can't interrupt like that. Like we can talk at the class. But you're going to have to leave, bro. Or you're going to have to be quiet. All right, you can't interrupt. That's the last time, bro, because I will have you off the premises, bro. All right? So just be respectful, bro. When we get done, you can talk to me at the class. All right? All right, that's what's up. All right, so we was on the phone, and Abijah told me personally, he said to me and Brother Lee that we can leave our wives. He told me on the phone that I can leave my wife. I said, Abijah, my wife that I've been with 25 years, I can leave my wife? He said, if she's not a virgin. That's what you told me, brother. Brother Lee said, I can leave my wife? He said, if she's not a virgin. We was like, come on, bro, you serious? That's what he said. That's what he said. So now, let's go to Matthew. Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, because we're going to see if this is still okay today. Like, we had that question. That, after all we talked about 4 hours on the phone, the last thing I asked Brother Abijah, and he know it, last thing me and Lee both asked, and he said yes. Matthew 5, pick this up at verse 31. Go and read that. What it says.
It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. Okay, now, y'all smart, ain't you? Y'all ain't no dummies, are y'all? What did we just read that said? Because if you pay attention to what it says it have been said. In other words, there's somewhere in the Bible that says what Jesus just said. Where is that at? What did we just read?
Deuteronomy what? It was 24 that said that, right? Did y'all read that in Deuteronomy 22? Okay, this is why I said when you're in school, you talk about topics and subjects and how things make sense, right? So there's no need for me to go throw 22 in here when 22 wasn't even talking about this. What Jesus is quoting, he's quoting Deuteronomy 24. It's either hot or cold. In this room right here. Turn it off, then it get hot. You might turn it back on, man. Goodness gracious. Y'all sound like a church in Atlanta, boy. We can't figure out the AC for nothing. That's why they was like, no, it's good, but man. Deuteronomy, okay, so Jesus is quoting. Read it again, 31.
It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorce.
So it says, it hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her writing of divorcement, right? Like, this is simple to me, man. This is simple. Now, if there's another agenda being pushed behind this, then I can understand how we're going to make room to try to justify that agenda. But if you just read it like it is, it say what it say, and everybody know what it's talking about. You know what it's talking about when you hear in Galatians chapter 3, it talks about, or in different places in the Hebrews, it talks about it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a great example. Most of y'all probably know it by heart. When Satan tried to come and tempt Jesus, and Jesus say, he say, when Satan tell him to bow down and worship him, Jesus say, it is written, right? Thou should not, you should worship only God, right? I think when it says written, what is it taking you back to? Deuteronomy what? Y'all know it. Matter of fact, just hold your finger here. Let's go to Luke right quick. Let's go to Luke. We're going to come right back here just to show you an example. Luke chapter 4. Luke 4, I think I quoted that wrong. It's probably y'all looking at me like, what is he talking about? Luke 4, and pick this up at verse 4. Luke 4 and verse 4. Now, this is Satan coming to tempt Jesus, trying to make him turn the stone into bread. So read verse 4. What does that say?
And Jesus answered him, saying, it is written, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God. Okay, so now Jesus said it is written. That means it's in the Bible somewhere. But keep in mind, the New Testament came later on down the line. So what would they read? They was reading Old Testament, right? But Jesus said it is written, right? So where is it written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God? Where is that written at? Anybody know? Deuteronomy what? Deuteronomy 8, right? So automatically you know to go back to Deuteronomy 8 and verse 3, right? Okay, now go back to Matthew 5. Go back to Matthew 5 and read verse 31 again. It hath been said.
It hath been said. So once again, it's written somewhere, right? Now, based on, finish reading that.
Whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
So where is that written at? Deuteronomy what? 24, right? Deuteronomy 22 ain't got nothing to do with this, though. You see how Luke 4, we know exactly where to go at. Matthew 5, we know exactly where to go at, right? Now, we try to put anything else in there. We try to make something fit that don't fit. That's when you must have quit. That's when you must have quit. Because that don't fit. So now keep reading. What else to say?
But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. Okay, now look at this. Look at this now. Because there was a wordplay on fornication as well. We're going to clear that up with the Bible today. We're going to show you what the Bible is going to categorize as fornication. That way, when you leave out of here, don't ever let nobody confuse you again on what fornication is. Because fornication don't cover adultery. So it says here, what I say unto you, because notice what it says. It says, it have been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. That was written where? In the law of what? The law of who? Law of Moses, right? Deuteronomy, right? So we know that was there. We read that. But now Jesus is saying, yeah, I get that. I know that's what it says.
But let me tell you what I'm about to tell. Let me tell you what I'm finna do now. I'm finna change this. But I say unto you what?
That whosoever shall put away his wife.
But I say unto you, whosoever put away his wife, because it's been said that put away and divorce don't mean the same thing. We're gonna show you that that's incorrect as well. It say, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, what?
Saving for the cause of fornication.
So she got to commit fornication for you to put her away. In other words, she can't no other dude be feeling all up on her, kissing all on the neck. You get caught off in the car with another dude, man. One of y'all, both of y'all, let it be me. Let it be me. But that man got that right to do that though. Oh, we weren't doing that. We just talking. Yeah, all right. Play with it if you want to. So it say, look, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, what?
Causeth her to commit adultery.
Cause her to commit adultery, right? Now we see that the Lord is blaming the man, right? He say, you caused her to commit adultery, right? Because if you put her away, she ain't did nothing. She ain't did nothing wrong, and you don't put this woman away, more likely she probably gonna give it to somebody else, but this adultery gonna be on the man. It's not gonna be on her. In other words, he letting you know it's your fault. That's why I say you caused her to commit adultery. So it said, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, see, this is going to supersede what took place in Deuteronomy. That's why Jesus said, yeah, it's been said, but let me tell you what I'm about to do. Let me tell you what I'm about to do. I'm going to come and bring this addendum in. I'm going to come in and I'm going to take it back to how it used to be. That's why he says, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication. In other words, you can't just look at her now and be mad at her for making some hard grits. Don't know how to cook, don't know how to clean. Every time you get home from work, the house dirty. I don't want to be with you no more. This is over with. No, I can't be. Nope. The Lord let you know you can't put her away for that. He finna supersede it. This is why he said, I heard what it was. I know what they said back then, but this what I'm saying. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, cause her to do what?
Commit adultery.
Commit adultery, right? Now the reason why I start off with fornication is because look, fornication gonna cover everything. It's gonna cover everything, but it's letting the wife know or the woman know you can't get caught up doing no hanky-panky type stuff. None of that. He catch you doing anything like that, he got a right to put you away. Oh, we was just kissing. Okay, well, you just kissed his house goodbye. Get on up out of here. It's over. Covering everything now. Everything, things that you ain't got no business doing with another man, now you ain't getting away with it now. But I say to you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, cause her to commit adultery. What else to say?
And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. Again.
Okay, so he say, look, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commit adultery, right? But it's adultery across the board, right? But once again, we can't forget that the Lord already let the man know he caused it, right? So now let's go over to Matthew 19 right quick. Matthew 19, and let's look at it again. Matthew 19. Matthew 19. And pick this up at verse 9. No, start at verse 8. All right, go ahead.
He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives.
Because the same thing is on the tape, matter. We'll go up and read it, but I just wanted to hit something right quick. It say, look, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, right? Telling you why he allowed them to get a bill of divorcement in the first place. Because of the hardness of their heart. It said, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives, but what?
But from the beginning, it was not so.
Okay, so what did we read in the beginning? We read how the husband and wife started in Genesis chapter 2. It's supposed to last. It's supposed to last all the way to death. But he said, look, But from the beginning it was not so. What else to say?
And I say unto you,
Uh-huh.
whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication,
Keep reading.
and shall marry another,
Go ahead.
committeth adultery.
Okay, so now look at what he said. Now he done, you ain't caused her to commit adultery now. Now he actually saying you commit adultery. Now you done got her out here, she ain't did nothing. So the Lord will put it on the man. It's almost like, see, we know adultery. When we think about adultery, we think about a man sleeping with another man's wife, right? Okay, well, God giving you an addendum now. He giving you an addendum, letting you know, if you put her away, she ain't did nothing wrong. Now, adultery gonna be on you, man. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another and commit adultery. What else to say?
And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
But look at what it's saying, though. First it says you cause her to commit adultery. Now it's telling you that the man, if you put her away, she ain't did nothing, the man is the one that commit this adultery, right? It's on him now. But the goal is, look, he letting them know, don't try to get out of it. You ain't got no reason to put her away. You're trying to wiggle out. See, really they trying to cause Jesus to, go against Moses in the first place. But Jesus is the one that allowed it. Now he came on the scene and letting you know, hey, we ain't doing this no more. We're going to take it back to how it used to be. Bring it back up to verse 3 and read that.
The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Go ahead.
And he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
Right. So yeah, you bringing me what you saw in Deuteronomy 24, but y'all ain't read Genesis. You ain't go back to what it said in the beginning. This is how Jesus answering them. That's why they said, look, is it lawful for every man to put away his wife for every cause? They got that from Deuteronomy 24, right? Now, or what we was reading earlier, but for the most part, this conversation is really about this bill of divorce. You just have it in, wrote it a different way now, but it's still the same topic going on. Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning did what? Made them male and female, right? We saw that in Genesis. So in other words, he's taking you back to the beginning. That's going to usurp what was said in Deuteronomy 24. Now we're in the New Testament. Jesus on the scene now. We know Jesus is God, right? Jesus is God in the Old Testament, right? So you mean to tell me like he ain't got the power to come and undo what was done in the Old Testament? He God. He do what he want to do. Except when we want to push an agenda, right? There, one jot or one tittle don't, come on. Come on, now this God. If God want to change, he can change it. Just like he changed it and told you before you even lay down with a woman, if you think about it, man, you done already committed adultery. But you don't know adultery as that, do you? You know adultery as laying down in the bed with another man's wife. That's how you comprehend adultery. Until Jesus come and show you and make it even harder for you to even get in the bed with it now. If you think about it, you done already did it, Negro. Don't even think about it. Go ahead and read what else it says.
Verse 5. It said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
That's in Genesis. We saw that. So he took it back to something that came before Deuteronomy. That's why I was saying, some of us will say, well, the Bible came before the Quran. So we'll use that. Some of us would, just conversations. Even people not in the word, they'll say stuff like that. So the mindset, sometimes things that come before, especially dealing with God, hey, that's going to outweigh what Moses said, because God is the one that invented marriage in the first place. So if he come later on down the line and take you back to the beginning, then that's what we got to go with. We got to go with. We can't try to justify and say things like, well, no, Matthew 5 and 17, that ain't talking about this, about that. That ain't talking about this. That's not talking about this. So he said, look, what verse you at?
Verse 6.
All right, go and read it.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
Go ahead.
What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
So in other words, he let you know that includes Moses, right? Because the conversation we talking about divorce, right? And that divorce situation came up where? It came up in Deuteronomy 24 in the law of Moses. So the Lord is saying, don't let no man put asunder. In other words, can't nobody divide, ain't nobody going, there's nothing that's going to cause this husband and wife to divorce unless it's fornication. That's it. That's it. When he said, let no man, that even includes Moses. Matter of fact, that's what they're making reference back to. Go on and keep reading. What else to say?
They say unto him, why did Moses being commanded to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
Okay, so why did Moses give us that bill, let us know we can write a bill of divorce then? If that's the case, we can't put her away, then why Moses did that? What did he say?
He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives.
That's why that bill of divorce was introduced, because of the hardness of your heart. But what are you gonna say?
But from the beginning it was not so.
Well, hey, that ain't how this was supposed to be set up. From the beginning it wasn't so. What else to say? Keep reading.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery.
That's right. So look, once again, she don't commit fornication, you put her away, hey, you commit adultery. It's on you now, because you shouldn't have put her away. She ain't did nothing. Go ahead.
And whoso marrieth her which is put away doth commit adultery.
It is adultery. That's the act of it. But hey, the man got to bear that burden now, because you should have never put her away. She ain't do nothing. That's all he's talking about. But he's taking you back to Deuteronomy 24. That's where the bill of divorce was introduced. Wasn't introduced in Deuteronomy 22. So that conversation shouldn't even been brought up. So now go to Mark 10. Mark 10. Mark 10. We'll pick this up at verse 4. Go ahead.
And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away.
Okay, so now, it's been said that divorce and put away don't mean the same thing. But we can't play with the Bible like that, because we talking about the same thing. We talking about the same exact thing. We don't see that. It says here, and they said Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away, right? So what the Lord gonna say in verse 11? Read verse 11. What it say?
And he said unto them.
So this is the gist of it all. Notice what Jesus gonna say. And he said unto them what?
Whosoever shall put away his wife.
Wait a minute. Whosoever shall put away his wife, right? And what else?
And marry another. Committed adultery against her.
But the conversation is about what? The conversation in verse 4 is about what? What is saying for? Read that again.
And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What are we talking about, y'all? We're talking about divorce, right? What is Jesus responding to? Is he responding to, he's responding to divorce, right? Like, don't let your mind play tricks on you. This is what the book is saying. We know if they ask a question about divorce, Jesus is answering the question about divorce. Because it's the same thing. So he says here, and they said Moses suffered to write a bill of divorce and divorcement and to put her away, right? That's what you're going to do. She got to go. I'm done with you. Do your bill. Get out of here. But what the Lord going to say? Read 11 again.
And he said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife. Okay,
so now, we can interchange that word just like we interchange sleep with death. We can interchange put away with divorce. So really what he's saying is, whosoever shall divorce his wife and marry another, what?
Committed adultery.
Commit adultery. That's why I say, y'all not dumb. You know what you was taught in school. Unless there's an agenda being pushed. Now bring it back up to verse 9 and read that.
What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
That's right. So he said, look, what therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. Keep reading.
And in the house his disciples asked him again of the same matter. And he said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another committed adultery against her.
Right. So now, hey, the Lord's putting it on the man. Putting it on the man. He said, look, in the house his disciple asked him again of the same matter. He said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another commit adultery against her. But we already saw earlier that you commit adultery, right? He said you commit adultery. Then another place he said you caused her to commit adultery. But he put it in the man now. Like you can't get out of this. Then he says, what else in verse 12?
And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed adultery.
So it said, if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed adultery. So she can't do that either, right? She can't get out of that. You know, you got 1 Corinthians 7. You know what I'm saying? He ain't trying to serve your God and stuff like that. Look, you can get up out of that, man. But other than that, you ain't gonna really see no. I don't see nothing else to get you up out of that. So, you know, we talk about separating for some time and stuff like that. And you know, I ain't saying don't sit there and get beat you up and all that type of stuff. But you're not gonna see the Lord. You know, you're not gonna see that in the Bible system, brother, where a sister can just get up out of it like that. But now go over to Romans 1. Romans chapter 1. Romans 1. And let's pick this up at verse 25. Romans 1, and verse 25. I'm going to read that.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections.
Okay, so now come in here because it's all out of love. We saw, I heard you guys discussing that I asked a few people this morning what was fornication. And they said sex outside of marriage, right? That's what I heard. That's what some people say fornication is, sex outside of marriage. Well, fornication covers a broad, a plethora of things that will fall upon the fornication. We don't see that. So read that again.
For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly.
Okay, so now you got two men together, right? Now these two men together, that ain't supposed to be. Two women being together, that ain't supposed to be. So it says, and this, you go back and read Romans 1, that's really what he's really talking about. But I'm just coming here for a specific reason to kind of show fornication. Because fornication ain't just having sex outside of marriage. Fornication is going to cover, like I said, things broad. Several different things fornication is going to cover. So it says, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. What else?
For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Okay, so like I said, even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. So you got women sleeping with each other, men sleeping with each other, goes against how God set things up, right? Go ahead and read. What else to say?
And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another.
Okay, so now it says here, likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, because naturally it goes, a man's supposed to be the woman, the woman's supposed to be the man. That's how it goes. That's the natural use right there. Not what we got going on today. All this stuff you see going on with the LGBT, community, all the letters, but that ain't how it's supposed to go. God has it a certain way between man and a woman, woman and a man, right? But in this case here, it says, likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another. What else?
Men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat.
Right. Go ahead and read. What does it say?
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient.
So they, Lord gonna turn their mind over to you. You want to do it, hey, Lord give it to you. If you want, you're gonna become that. That's why you see some people that be completely gone. Some of the brothers get into this type of stuff, and then once they go, it's hard for them to come back. They go all the way to the point where they castrate themselves. They try to be something that they're not. But hey, that's what you want to do. God will give you over to it. But he said, look, likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of error which was meat. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to the reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. 29.
Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication,
Go ahead.
wickedness.
Wait, but why are we talking about fornication though? Why is fornication being listed in this chapter if fornication is just a man, sleeping around with women? Because, like I told you, fornication gonna cover all different types of things. This is why you got fornication coming up in this chapter. It's telling you about their behavior. Like we say, fornication is all sexual acts and immorality. It's gonna fall up under that. Men with men, men with animals. You know what I'm saying? Jumping from bed to bed, adultery. It's gonna fall up under that. Fornication gonna cover all of that. So we see here, Paul is describing the behavior of what these people are doing, right? Then right after that, he kind of itemizes it, or in a sense, describes what it really is, right? He called it what? He said being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication. See, fornication ain't just fornication ain't just somebody sleeping with, somebody not being married. Because that's what the definition I got this morning. And that's what I heard. I heard people say that. Fornication is, when people ain't married, they sleep. No, fornication don't cover it all. And Brother Will said in Bible study, he got up and Brother Will thought he had something. He said that's spiritual fornication. No, it ain't talking about spiritual fornication in Matthew either, Brother Will. It's talking about physical fornication. That's what Jesus was talking about. But that's what people were doing in the room. Everybody's throwing ideas out. But it's talking about physical fornication in Matthew. And then right here, notice fornication is listed after it described their behavior. That's why it says here, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication. Keep reading, what else?
Wickedness, covetousness,
Go ahead.
maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents.
All right, go to Leviticus 18. Leviticus 18. Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus 18. We'll pick this up at verse 22. So now you got a name for this. Now you know what this fall upon. Like this behavior right here, this gonna fall up under, this gonna be hung in that closet of fornication. It's gonna fall up under that umbrella of fornication. What it say?
Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind.
So in other words, two men ain't got to be this land together. But this gonna fall up under fornication. All right. He said, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. What else to say?
It is abomination.
Keep reading.
Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith.
And that's gonna fall up under it as well. But this is why Jesus had mentioned fornication, because like I said, it's gonna cover everything. Matthew 5, Matthew 19, what we saw. Look, she ain't got no room to do nothing. She ain't got no business playing around with nobody. None of that. So if you say, well, we ain't get into bed with each other, we didn't do nothing, all we did was kissed and all that, you just committed fornication. So he got a right to get you up out of there. But if she didn't do nothing, he ain't got no right to put her away. So he say, look, neither shall thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. What else?
Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down there too. Mm-hmm. It is confusion.
And then he's going to give you some more things. In Leviticus chapter 20, he's going to give you a rundown of things that you shouldn't be doing. I think it's 20 that I saw. Let's see, 20 or 22. Might be 20. We're going to go through the sleeping with the father's daughter, mother's daughter, aunt, all that stuff. It might be, I think it's early 18. Yeah, it's up above an 18. And it's another place too. But all that stuff gonna fall upon the fornication, sisters and brothers. So now go to Proverbs 6. And let's go see something. Proverbs 6. And y'all take from this at the end of the day, man, this ain't about trying to hurt nobody, embarrass nobody. But y'all have to realize this stuff is continuing on. It ain't just it's spreading all over the place. It's spreading all over the place. So it ain't like I say, I really like Elijah. I knew when that brother Cole, straight up, Cole teacher. But we just got to fix this right here. We got to fix this. Proverbs 6, verse 27. Proverbs 6, verse 27. All right, go and read that. What does it say?
Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned?
Go ahead.
Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned?
So that'll, you walk upon hot coals, you're going to get burned, right? He said, look, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes be not burned? That's almost automatic. Yes, you're going to get burned if you put fire in your bosom, right? He said, can one go upon hot coals and his feet be not burned? Right, you walk upon hot coals, your feet don't get burned, right? So go ahead, what else to say?
So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent.
Okay, now, what do we label this as? Man going into his neighbor's wife. What is that called? That's called adultery, right? Everybody know that to be called adultery. All right, so it says here, so he that go into his neighbor's wife, whosoever touch her shall not be innocent. Go on and read. What else it say?
Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry.
That's right. That ain't too much of a big deal. You grab something out the stove. That don't take too much effort. You just know you might need something to eat, right? It's like the police, like I might have told y'all a while back, and I mentioned it before. Sister was in the store stealing something so she could feed her family. She got caught. Police didn't take her to jail. He bought her some groceries and took her home to her family. Have mercy on her because that makes sense. Okay, you stealing to feed your family. I understand. Like the book is saying, men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry, right? Man, have some mercy on you when it comes to that. What else to say? Go ahead.
But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house.
So hey, have some mercy, right? You can pay that back. You can pay that back. Wasn't too bad. You stole a little something, pay that back. You ain't really go all in. It ain't nothing that can't be forgiven. Go ahead and read what does it say, 32.
But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding.
But it say, but whoso commit adultery. Now we know that act that brother just did with his neighbor's wife, that's adultery, right? That's why it says here, but whoso commit adultery with the woman lack understanding, right? Then what it say?
He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul.
He say, look, he who do that, man, you destroy your own soul, right? Soul and body, one and the same. Everybody know that? Soul and body, one and the same. The Lord breathed into his nostrils, the man became a what type of soul? A living soul. Soul and body, one and the same. He said, but whoso commit adultery with a woman, lack understanding, he that doeth it destroy his own soul, right? So now let's move over to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Now we know that act is called adultery, correct? Everybody knows you sleep with another man's wife, that's adultery, right? So now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians 6. First Corinthians 6. First Corinthians 6, and let's pick this up at verse 12. Go ahead.
All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any.
All right, skip down verse 15 to read that.
Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid.
Okay.
What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, said he, shall be one flesh.
Okay, keep reading.
But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body.
That's just like that stealing. That's just like that stealing out of store. Look here, take your whole body to do that. You know, you steal something, you use your hand for the most part, grab it and get up out of there, right? Because Paul, what he's doing is he's going to take you back to Proverbs, what we just read. He's going to quote Proverbs. But when we saw the proverb, it was called adultery, right? Notice what it's called in 1 Corinthians 6. Notice what Paul about to call it. He say, look, but he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit, which is why you shouldn't be laying around with a harlot. Then he says, look, flee what?
Fornication.
He say, flee fornication, right? Now let's see what he gonna quote. Keep reading.
Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committed fornication sinneth against his own body.
He say, but he that commit fornication do what?
Sinneth against his own body.
But you know where he get that from? He get that from Proverbs 6. He that commit adultery destroy his what? His own soul. That's where he get it from. But in Proverbs it's called adultery, right? In 1 Corinthians, what is it called? Fornication. You know why it's called that? Because fornication covered all, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and keep reading. What else to say?
What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
So you belong to God. Shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and see why this conversation came up in the first place. Why this conversation came up in the first place. 1 Corinthians chapter 5. And let's pick this up at verse 1. 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 1. What does it say?
It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you.
He said, look, it is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, right? Go ahead and read.
And such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Now, it's nasty out the gate if a dude sleeping with his daddy concubine, will say, like Reuben did, right? But another name for that is also called what? What is Paul calling it? Y'all understand now? Y'all understand? Fornication just covered all. That's why, which was the question in the room, why is he saying fornication? Because fornication is going to cover it all. Don't give that woman no room to do anything. But if she get caught doing anything, hey, he got a right to put her away. But y'all know if a man sleep with another man's wife, what is that called? What do we call that? We call that adultery, don't we? Right? We call it adultery, right? That's what all of us call it. All of us know that to be adultery. All of us know that to be adultery. But right here, and then, like I said, it's even worse for a son to do it with his father's wife. That was bad what Reuben did to Jacob concubine. Went up on his father's couch. That was bad. But it's still adultery. But look at what look at what he's calling. He's calling it fornication. So it said, it's reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. You don't need to be messing with somebody else's wife. Go ahead and keep reading. What else to say?
And ye are puffed up, and have not rather mourned that he that hath done this deed might be taken away from among you.
Skip down to verse 9 and read that.
I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators,
Mm-hmm.
yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must ye needs go out of the world.
Okay, so now the conversation on the table ain't the conversation on the table is not about, people sleeping around not married. Is that what this is about? If you read verse 1, matter of fact, let's read verse 1 together. Verse 1 and 2. No, verse 1. What does verse 1 say? 1, 2, everybody go. It is reported what? Commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. That's what's on the table, right? Not everybody just going around sleeping with each other, jump from bed to bed. That's not what's on the table, is it? What's on the table is you sleep with your father's wife, and then on top of that, that's his wife. We know out the gate that's adultery, but it's listed as fornication here. Y'all shouldn't be doing it. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that. Ain't nobody gonna check that in the church. Somebody gotta say something about that. That's really what he's saying here. You don't say nothing, guess what? You puffed up. You allowing this stuff to get out of hand. That's where you get the whole saying about, a little leaven the whole lump. That's where it all come from. Because you allow a little bit of sin to get in there. Don't say nothing. Guess what? It's going to get all over the church. It's going to spread. But in this conversation here, hey, this man messing with his father's wife. We know that's adultery. And it's foul for a brother to be sleeping with his father's wife. A son to be sleeping with his father's wife. Like I say, Jacob did it. Reuben did it to Jacob. But you see, Paul is listing that as fornication. Because it's going to cover that. It's going to cover that behavior. Just like we saw in Romans chapter 1, when men with men, women with women. Look, right after that, Paul said unrighteousness, fornication. Because it covers different things, sisters and brothers. That's why Jesus said that. Go ahead and read. What does it say? We're in verse 11 or verse 9?
We skip down to 11.
Okay, go ahead.
But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator.
Right, so he need to get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't got no business doing that. But we still talking about the same thing we read in verse 1. We're not moving anything else. That behavior is uncalled for. Somebody got to check. Now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator or covetous. What else?
Or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such an one know not to eat.
Keep reading. What else it say?
For what have I to do to judge them also that are without?
She said, look, I ain't really got time to be worried about the ones that are out in the world, in other words. Our folks need to be on the ones inside the church. Go ahead.
Do not ye judge them that are within?
Look, he say, do not you judge them that are within? Like, you're not going to pay attention to what's happening among you all? We're not going to pay attention to what's happening among us in the church, but once again, he's still highlighting the fornication that's going on. Go ahead and read. What else it say?
But them that are without, God judges. Therefore, put away from among yourselves that wicked person.
Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Let's see what the Lord say we need to do, though. Because like I said, hey, he was messing with his father's wife, and he's going to get to the gist of it. 1 Corinthians 7, pick it up at verse 1, because if you didn't have any chapters or verses in here, it would be a letter reading all the way through. So he's going to get to the point in the end when we get down to the last verse in this chapter. But what is saying in verse 1? Go ahead.
Now, concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
Keep reading.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication.
Wait a minute, but why is fornication even up in the first place? Because of what we saw in 1 Corinthians chapter 5. This is why this conversation came up in the first place. So he says, in order to avoid it, that's why I say, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, what?
Let every man have his own wife.
Not somebody else's wife. When the dude messing with his father's wife, we know that's called what, though? Adultery, right? Now you see Paul saying, in order for you not to commit fornication, let every man have what? His own wife. I don't need to keep beating this dead horse, do I? Go on, keep reading. What else to say?
And let every woman have her own husband.
Now go over to, skip down to verse 39 and read. 39, just to finish answering the question of how long they together. Go ahead.
The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth.
Uh-huh.
But if her husband be
Go
dead,
ahead.
she is at liberty to be married to whom she will.
But you see that though, how long is she bound to her husband? As long as he alive, right? Then it says, if he be dead, she is at liberty to do what?
To be married to whom she will.
Uh-huh. She can marry somebody in the world.
Only in the Lord.
Only in the Lord, sisters and brothers. Now go over to 1 Peter 5. 1 Peter 5. And this is what it's all about, man. You know, like I told you, I remember one time, me and Brother Elijah on the phone, almost arguing with each other. Like literally. I tried to buck at him. He got a little louder than me. I'm like, how you gonna be louder than me? Y'all know he got a loud voice, boy. And it was about the God of the Hebrews. You know, a few years back. God of the Hebrews, and you know, I was saying how Esau is a Hebrew. You know, and Elijah was like, Esau ain't no Hebrew. Matter of fact, me and Brother Obadiah in Indiana, I had put it on Facebook. He checked me online. And I was like, bro, why you can't call me, man? And he was like, man, holla at Elijah. I'm like, bro, why you can't call? Why you got to put this on Facebook, right? And I told Elijah, I said, man, what do you have to put on Facebook? Why you got to put it out there? He said, well, some things need to be put out in the open. You said it in the open. And I ain't like that. I was mad as hell. You know, I ain't gonna lie, I was mad. I was like, me and JD talked about it, and in my head, I'm like, you ain't right. And then I'm gonna tell you something. About a year or so later, hit me right in the face again. I'm like, dang, he was right. I started seeing things in there about God and the Hebrews, you know, and that, you know, I just was trying to push something that I thought was right. I had to humble myself. And the crazy thing about it, it was another brother at the same time in California that taught a class called Satan is Very Entertaining. So we had to reach out to him, and JD mainly called him up and told him he was wrong about it. Brother got mad, was a teacher at Israel Church of Jesus LA. Got mad, left, and went to IOG. But that day, the day he kicked against it, that was the same day I was saying that Esau was a Hebrew. And me and Elijah, we were arguing back on the phone. That night, he taught a lesson. He ain't say my name, but I knew I was in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then later on, I didn't like it. I did not like it. He know now. I ain't never say that, but he know now. But I had to go back. I had to humble myself and just say, you know what, maybe I am wrong. I took it like this. I say, well, you know, I'm new to this. He got more knowledge than me. Let me just back up and see. And it's crazy how, like I said, a year or so later, come to find out I was absolutely wrong. And I can admit it. I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't about just picking out on one person. That ain't what it's about. I done got checked myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get checked on this particular situation with the Sabbath, but I taught a lesson in Atlanta saying that Jesus didn't rest in Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 2. I said, well, God didn't rest. It say that clearly, don't it? Say God rested, right? So it was some brothers in Vegas. Brother called me up, was like, Nate, man, that class you taught, boy, about the Sabbath, he said that was a good class. He said, I understand what you were saying. He said, but there's some brothers out here don't agree with that. When you say Jesus, God didn't rest. I say, I was about to bump. I was like, you know what? Let me call Elijah and see what's going on. Because I know where I got that teaching from. I said, let me call him and see if God rested. Hit Elijah up. He said, what the book say? It said God rested, right? That was it. I said, hey, he rested. So I came back the next week in front of all the people in Atlanta. And I said, look, man, I said something last week. Nobody told me to say anything. But it's not about me, though. I put something out there that needed to be corrected, you know? So I came back the next week, and I told everybody, I said, look, I apologize. I taught something last week I shouldn't have taught. Where I said that God didn't rest on the seventh day, I said that's wrong. God did rest on the seventh day because that's what the book said. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. It's all about people getting better. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I say, sometimes you're going to know something, brother. The book tell you It said in the latter days, knowledge is going to increase. It tells you that. So it's going to be brothers that's going to come up and know more. But if it's going to cause confusion and division, just sit down and just wait on it. Just wait. If it's right, it's going to come out the right way. It's not going to come out with no confusion. And y'all absolutely sound confused online. Y'all sound very confused. Y'all ain't bad or nothing like that. Y'all was, it sounded like y'all was on, like a TV show or something, calling up, your helpline. You know how you have that lifeline to help you with a question? That's how y'all sounded. Everybody was talking. Everybody trying to figure out the question, and that's not how it's supposed to go. That teacher sitting up here, if the question can't get answered, we just gonna have to shut it down. But that turned into a lot of confusion. And it ain't supposed to be like that, especially with the brothers. As brothers, y'all want to be heads and stuff like that. You want to lead your household and stuff. Well, when you come to church, look, you have people walking here that don't know how things are ran. Y'all got to make sure things are in order. Y'all got to make sure things are in order. And we ain't kowtowing to no women. Just make sure y'all understand that. The women ain't running nothing. I don't want y'all to feel like y'all ain't. I ain't say y'all ain't nothing. I say y'all not running nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Like if you understand how we do things, we're gonna make sure y'all good. We're gonna make sure the sister's good. The sister's gonna always be good. We're gonna make sure that. A lot of stuff, for the most part, y'all ain't gotta do nothing besides help us, give us ideas on how we're supposed to do it. For the most part, the women do all the cooking though. When it comes to the feast, y'all be doing all that stuff. Y'all had ideas on how things supposed to be set up and stuff. We don't know what we doing. We need y'all. But as far as doing all the talking and voicing and this stuff, hey, the brothers put all that stuff together, and then we gonna come back. A lot of the time, brothers go home and talk to their wife. What you think? What you think? This wife gonna say one thing, this wife gonna say one thing, and then we gonna say, well, why don't y'all come up with some ideas and show us what we can do better? You understand what I'm saying? We just the front of it. The brothers are. And it gotta be some order. It gotta be organization. It can't be confused. And that's what it looked like. So I don't want y'all thinking this is about beating y'all up, but it was bad. It was, it gotta be bad if Elijah gotta get up and teach a class on Dallas Q&A. See, he just teaching on the subject y'all was talking about. But I was hearing everything that was going on in the room. Even teacher from Atlanta is sitting up here like this. Somebody can I get your phone? And he said, I don't know, I understand the shot. That's bad. That's terrible. Anything, teachers, especially trying to be teachers, you gotta move on to the next question. Gotta move on to the next. If we can't go to the law and testimony and prove it, that's enough. Let's go on to something else. We'll talk about this later. 1 Peter 5, pick this up at verse 6. Because it's all about the people getting understanding. 1 Peter 5, pick it up at verse 6. Go and read that.
Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time.
And that'll come. That'll come. Like I say, some things to sit on. Hey, man, the Lord will bring it out in due time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm somebody from experience that learned it. I ain't gonna say the hard way, but they'll tell you. JD will tell you. People in Philadelphia will tell you. They just a hard dude to get along with, man. I thought everything had to be my way. Then I just had to say, let me back up. Stop trying to kick against this, because I was kicking against it tonight. We sitting in Atlanta together. You know what I'm saying? This brother got years over me. I'm thinking because I'm more disciplined, I can run it better. And then, one time I just had to say to myself, let me just back up, man, because I may not know what I think I am. And I backed up, and then that's when the Lord started increasing. That's when he started exalting me, in other words. Now you come to Atlanta, now you will see the church. We probably about to blow up out of that soon too. But somebody had to say, okay, I'm gonna take a back seat instead of me kicking against the order. And that's what this is all about. Bazzi, you're a great teacher, man. And I love you, bro. And me personally, I'm like, that boy fighting. You know what I'm saying? But in this case right here, bro, just back up. You know what I'm saying? Back up. You might want to humble yourself. Then let the Lord do the exalting. So that's the message on this right here. I love y'all. I don't want y'all going home and taking it personal. You know what I'm saying? like the sister, take it personal. Look, I ain't even call her name. If she wasn't here, why is she getting upset? Ain't got nothing to do with her. Right? So it's like if the shoe fit, wear it. But it ain't got nothing to do with you, then what you get upset for? But if you want to go, you can go. We ain't gonna be catering to you. That's not what we doing. This is not TD Jakes and the Potter's house. Woman down loose. You're loose to go home. I don't care. Bye. So now let's go on to this other lesson right quick. The trumpets of God should be on your paper. Y'all can read that for homework. Y'all read it for homework. So, well, that's enough. I got it. So the trumpets of God, let's look at that. Trumpets of God. Let's pick this up in Psalms 81, and verse 3. Psalms 81, and verse 3. And we're going to try to move through this. And if anything, it's my fault. I'm going to say my fault. It's not really a fault, but we just kind of, I kind of just thought that, William understand it. He got it. He been around for a long time. He got it. So the reason why we're touching on it, because there was some things that was said inside trumpets that was just absolutely incorrect. And one thing I'm gonna tell y'all teachers, y'all want to be teachers and stuff. Look, don't insert stuff inside these classes that you can't read. One thing that was said was something about the ram's horn. The ram is dead. You blow through the horn, the sound of life come out on the other side. Look, that ain't biblical. It's not biblical. Can't read that. Matter of fact, something else. We were talking yesterday about this particular scripture. Go to Revelation right quick. Revelation chapter 11. And mainly, it's real easy. All you're doing is plagiarizing. I plagiarize Elijah all day. I plagiarize his stuff. I plagiarize Jediah's stuff. I mean, why I gotta reinvent the wheel? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gotta reinvent the wheel. It's simple. It's rolling. All you gotta do is keep it rolling. So in other words, you plagiarize it, then what's gonna happen is the Lord gonna give it to you in your own way. But in other words, these teachers don't put the work in. They don't put the work in, just go and take from their work. That's why, it's saying that we say all the time, we rob from the rich and give to the poor. So we'll rob from what Elijah teach. Sometimes, I don't rob from Elijah today. I don't rob from nobody else. But sometimes I can be a lot. I'm gonna be lying. So I rob from Elijah and JD, and I give it to y'all. So we're rob from the rich and give to the poor. That's it. But that's all you got to do. You study it though. You study it. When you get up here, the Lord gonna give it to you. But you got to be able to read what it is you're teaching. If you can't read it, then you don't need to get up here and say that. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't lining up with the book. So in Revelation chapter 11, and one thing that was said here was that this right here, this 3.5 years. This 3.5 years, we know that this is the Great Tribulation, right? If you don't know, Great Tribulation, 3.5 years, 1,260 days, 42 months. That's how long the Great Tribulation is. But during this time, the Lord gonna have 2 witnesses that's gonna prophesy for 3.5 years. It's gonna be almost like a counterbalance of what happened during the time when Israel was coming out of Egypt. You had Aaron and Moses back then. So it's gonna be similar today. The Lord gonna have 2 witnesses that's gonna prophesy for 3.5 years. After these 3.5 years is over, they're gonna be dead. They're gonna be dead, and people gonna be looking on their body for 3.5 days. What was said is that 3.5 days is a representation of 3.5 years. That's not the case. Because they got to prophesy for 3.5 years. They can't be dead for 3.5 years and prophesy at the same time. So after the Great Tribulation, they're gonna be dead for 3.5 days. And they're gonna get up. The Lord gonna come. That's it. But that's in front of you. You can read it. So Revelation 11, pick it up at verse 1. Go and read that for me.
There was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. In the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
So look at that. So this is what's going to end up happening. The Gentiles are going to end up, getting a particular part of Jerusalem. The Lord is giving you that particular location by way of what John is seeing on the Isle of Patmos. But they're going to be in that area for 42 months. That's why I say, but the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months, right? What else you say? Keep reading.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Okay, so at this time, you're going to have 2 witnesses there, right? You're going to have 2 witnesses that's going to prophesy 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years, 42 months. That's the same time frame that the Gentiles going to be treading down the city. 42 months, because the tribulation is that long. It's 3.5 years. All right. What it say in verse 4? Well, you skip down to verse read verse 6.
These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
Keep reading.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
Okay, so they're going to die, right? But before we get here, we saw they're going to prophesy for how long? 1,260 days, right? That's 3.5 years. So that's already automatic. That's already covered. They're going to prophesy. That means they're going to be alive. They're going to be prophesying for 3.5 years. Then they're going to end up dying. So it says these have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. It's going to almost look just like Egypt again. Go ahead and read. What else is that?
You want me to do verse 7 again?
7.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
So they're going to die, right? Keep reading. What else is that?
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
So they're going to die. The dead bodies going to lie in the street. Go ahead.
And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Okay. So when they die, how long are they going to be dead? How many?
3.5 days.
That's all it says. That's all you got. That's it. They'll be dead 3.5 days. Keep reading. What else?
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
Keep reading.
And when they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them.
And this is when they're going to get up. This is when the dead going to get up. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord is on his way. But that's all going to happen at the 7th trumpet. The 7th trumpet is blown. So now let's go back to Psalms 81. Psalms 81. But they're going to be dead 3.5 days. That's all. Psalms 81. Like I said, he'll get better over time. It's almost like it had to happen, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really a chance. It didn't really have a time to really prepare for it, you know what I'm saying? So you do the best of what you got, and we just cleaned it up, that's all. But Lord willing, we all still here next year, hey, you're gonna get better and better and better. The more you work, the better you get. The more you work, the better you get. All we say is don't get up here and lie, and just stick to what you can read. And then use the teachers, man. Y'all, we got a great teacher in Israel. You know what I'm saying? People may not like them or have disagreements or different issues, but look, we got a great teacher. Got a real great teacher, man. So use that. Use those tools to help yourself get better. Psalms 81, pick it up at verse 3.
blow up the trumpet in the new moon,
Uh-huh.
in the time appointed,
Mhm.
on our solemn feast day.
Okay, so that's what we came together for on trumpets a few days ago. Because this is something that the Lord gave to Israel outside of holy days and stuff like that. You know, we supposed to be, outside of holidays. We supposed to be observing God's holy days. And this is what the Lord has given Israel, sisters and brothers. So this is why we came together. That's why it says he'll blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So right here, when you see solemn, some people don't eat because it says solemn. You know, some people don't eat. They say, well, it's a solemn feast day. But if you look in the Bible, hey, there's another place, I think in Deuteronomy, where the Lord called all the feasts solemn. Call it your solemn feast, period. So that ain't got to do with it. In other words, it ain't nothing you came up with. You know, just because we come into your house for your birthday, that don't make it solemn. You know, you and your wife having an anniversary celebration, that don't make it solemn. Make it solemn because God is behind the system. So it says here, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So the new moon, that's determined, you know, which is the seventh month. On the first day of the month, that's when we observe Memorial blowing the trumpets. But that's based on God's calendar. That's not based on man's calendar, you know, Gregorian calendar. Like somebody asked me the other day, we keeping the feast. You know, we was trying to be facetious because, you know, he often to Yahweh and Yahshua and stuff like that, right? So he's trying to be funny. He's like, man, y'all observe the Gregorian calendar or the solar lunar. I say, wait a minute, what is it called? It says solar lunar. I said, oh my God. Well, back in the day, they just called it solar calendar. Well, I mean the lunar calendar. Now he came with solar lunar. I was all confused. You know, but I was like, well, just the simple fact that you asking that question, bro, you ain't think about the question before you ask it. Because where on the Gregorian calendar, anywhere does it say that we supposed to keep Memorial blowing the trumpets? It don't say that on Gregorian calendar, nowhere does it. So that should let you know automatically we doing something that God said. But that's what we do. That's what we base the feast days off of what God is saying. And in this case right here, this one here is going to be in the seventh month. So he said, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day, right? And in this case right here, for the most part, these trumpets right here going to introduce the coming of God. You know, trumpets do have different sounds for different things, but memorial of blowing the trumpets, that is to, you know, in other words, if you ain't paying attention, you're going to pay attention then because it's going to introduce the coming of our Lord. And these trumpets, what's going to precede these trumpets, you know, these trumpets going to precede destruction. That's what's going to come after every trumpet is blown. Destruction going to start coming, sisters and brothers, but it's going to be by the hand of the Lord. Go to Amos chapter 3. Amos 3. Amos 3. Amos 3. Let's pick this up at verse 5. Amos 3 and verse 5. I'm going to read.
Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is for him?
Mm-hmm.
Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all?
Mm-hmm.
Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city and the Lord have not done it?
Right, so rhetorical questions again. He said, look, can a bird fall in the snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? In other words, there's no trap set for the bird, then how can he end up in a trap? That don't make sense, does it? If a bird happened to be in the trap, it's because there's a trap set for him. That's why I said, can a bird fall in the snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Because you pull up a trap from the earth, you expect to get something inside that cage or that trap that you have set. If not, you're going to leave it there. What else you say? Go ahead.
Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid?
Because, hey, depending on what trumpet is, in this case, the trumpets of God, look, you better you better have some fear. Because ain't nothing but trouble coming, sisters and brothers. So he say, look, shall the trumpet be blown in the city and the people be not afraid? What else is that?
So there be evil in a city, and the Lord hath not done it.
And that'd be the one that's behind everything, sisters and brothers. Even with this coronavirus that's going on, God is behind that. The Lord is behind that, sisters and brothers. And hey, we're trying to get your attention. Spiritually, you got to pay attention. You know, some people start to observe these things that are happening around us, you know, and that's usually how the Lord will do things. He'll allow some things to happen to get your attention. If you sleep, hey, people start waking up now. Start looking for God. But who's behind? Hey, the Lord is behind the sisters and brothers. That's what we have to understand. We put more of our faith in man than we do in God. That's why a lot of people getting vaccinated, because they're scared. Why you ain't scared of God? Why ain't scared of God? You know, be scared of God and do what he says. Be scared of God and keep his commandments. Be scared of God and get to church. Because we do know some churches was closed during that time, which that don't give you no excuse to be at home. Lord said keep it Sabbath. Matter of fact, he told you ahead of time some pestilence was coming, so we should have been expecting. But it's going to get worse than that, sisters and brothers. We ain't seen nothing yet, but that's what the Lord will do. He is behind it, and he'll use these so you can start paying attention. All these different situations, he'll put them out there, and it's up to you to pay attention so you don't get caught off guard. Shall the trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? Let's go over to Leviticus 23. We like to give Satan credit. But Satan can't do nothing without the Lord, sisters and brothers. They work for him, just like when he had those lying spirits going to the mouth of those prophets. King Ahab figured he could go up to war and win, and he ended up getting killed. But the Lord allowed those lying spirits to get inside those prophets. Leviticus 23, pick this up at verse 1. All right, go and read that.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
So now, as we get into the Lord's feast, first he's going to start off with the weekly feast, sisters and brothers, but just pay attention. These are the holy days that God has set aside. This is why y'all came together. This is why everybody was coming together doing this, because it's something that God has set aside, sisters and brothers. This ain't that Moses gave us, even though we know it's in the law of Moses. The first 5 books of the Bible, they liken that to the law of Moses, right? It's in the law of Moses, but who is giving it to Moses? Read that again. What is that? Verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses,
saying, so it don't say, and Moses spake unto the Lord, right? It's saying the Lord spake unto Moses. So that let you know that God is doing the talking. Saying the Lord spake unto Moses, what else?
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. Okay, so look, he says, what got to happen during these feasts? We got to have what? A holy what? It wasn't no question. The situation, wasn't put inside these scriptures, right? He ain't mentioned no situation. He just told you you're supposed to be a holy convocation. So that means you're supposed to have a holy gathering. We just all need, sometimes we got to be honest with ourselves. We need to get our faith up. Right? Get your faith up. Because we ain't seen nothing yet. So it says, speaking to the children of Israel, and saying unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. What else? 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
That's right. So not some of your dwellings, all your dwellings, regardless of where we at, because you may run into people say, well, we can't keep the feast in America because we ain't in Jerusalem. That don't say that, do it? That's saying all your dwellings. Now, we understand we may not have it, 100% right, but we still can do it, okay? Just like you was able to do that false doctrine, you can do the real doctrine, can't you? Went out your way. You put your God in your car, rode around, probably 15 miles, 20 miles to get him home, it home. So you can set it up. You went all out to decorate that tree. You can't keep the Lord's Feast days? No matter where you at, he said in all your dwellings, right? And he talking about, in this case right here, he's talking about the weekly Sabbath, sisters and brothers. You know, that come around more often than any of the other feasts, but you're not feasting physically. How are we feasting today? We feasting with the word of God, because you don't always eat. Wait, you know, the Bible ain't always talking about eating food physically. Sometimes he'll, you know, throw in there as far, you know, eating food or eating bread and stuff like that, spiritually, mentally, sisters and brothers. That's why he called himself, I am the bread of life. You know, you eat him and you're going to eat him and live forever. In other words, you be obedient. That's why John 6, around verse 63, after he had told them to drink his blood and eat his flesh, some of those people that were following him was taken back by that. You know, they ain't got the Bible like we have. We got the Bible, we can actually read it, and we know what he's talking about. We know he ain't talking about really eating his body and drinking his blood. We know he's not talking about that. But if you was back during that time, you would think that's weird, wouldn't you? But he went on and broke it down and let him know, hey, it's the spirit that quickens. It's the spirit that gives life. The flesh profit nothing. Even that bread y'all was eating in the wilderness, but that don't profit you nothing. You eating on my body, that don't profit nothing either. He said, but the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. That's what you need to be eating on, sisters and brothers. So when you come here on the weekly Sabbath, you're not feasting physically, you feasting how? Spiritually, with your mind. So he said, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath, the rest of holy convocation. Supposed to come to church on the Sabbath. This is the one he put out there first. This is going to happen more often than any other ones. He said, you shall do no work therein. When he said Sabbath, the rest of holy convocation, you shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. What else to say, verse 4?
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
So now we coming up to the feast of the Lord that we're going to observe in the Lord, you know, in a season. It's going to come around once a year, annual feast, sisters and brothers, as opposed to the weekly Sabbath, which come around once a week. But these feasts right here are going to come around once a year or annually. That's why I say these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons, right? And we started off with Passover. Right after Passover, we go right into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. From that, we're going to go into Pentecost. Then from Pentecost, now we back into another season, which started on 7th day of the first month, which we're going to look at, but this will be called Memorial of the Blowing of Trumpets. And it's all in the Bible for a reason. When the Lord tell you about in Colossians chapter 2, you know, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day, you know, and he tell you there's a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. In other words, look, we doing it the best we can. It's just a shadow, but when the Lord get back, look, we're going to see it in its fullness, just like with Passover. Hey, they was keeping the Passover. They was keeping the Passover every year. You know, and they would, the first one we read about in Exodus, hey, they, on the 10th day of the first month, the 14th, the 10th day of the first month, they would kill that lamb. You know, on the 14th day of the first month, they take that blood and put it on the doorpost, right? And then what happened? That death angel came through on the Passover, right? That's where you get Passover from. 14th day of the first month of the evening, they had that blood on that doorpost, and when that death angel came through there, he passed over their house. Passed over their house, and that's where you get Passover from. So instead of somebody in the house having to die, when the angel saw that blood, you know, he passed right over. But that was a shadow, you know, something on a small scale compared to when Jesus came on the scene. Hey, you saw it in its fullness. You saw the body. You know, you saw him. Up until that time, you had little examples. And when Jesus came, boom. That's what I mean? Yep, that's it right there. He the Passover. That's why John 1 in verse 29, when John saw Jesus, he said, behold, the Lamb of God, which does what? is take away the sins of the world. But notice what he called me, calling him a lamb. Because now that's going to be your Passover. So even now we have these different holy days, which are a shadow of things to come. And when Jesus gets back, look, we're going to see it in his fullness. But this is one of them. Skip down to verse 23 and read that. What is that?
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel,
Go ahead.
saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
And this is what we did the other day. He said, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation, which is why we came to church, right? And once again, this is not based on the Gregorian calendar, it's based on the Lord's time frame. What he said, verse 25.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
So he said, you're going to do no servile work, right? So servile, like I was saying the other day, you ain't going to work for no boss. You ain't doing no servitude for nobody else. You can do some work, but you know who this work going to be for? It's going to be for God. So you may say, well, we can't eat. What type of work we going to do? Where they say you can't eat? Who say you can't eat? Who say you can't feast? What chapter, what verse, what book? Nobody got that? Because I ain't what it say. So when he tell you no servile work, he allowing you to be able to cook on this day. It's still a feast. Now, if he tell you like atonement, which is coming up, I think Thursday at sundown. Thursday sundown? Yeah, Thursday sundown. When atonements come up, he say you ain't gonna do no work. And then on the weekly side, you ain't doing no work. So you ain't no cooking going on. When the atonement get here, you definitely ain't doing, you know what I'm saying? Like ain't no eating going on, none of that. Ain't no cold cuts, none of that. But those are the only one when he say no work. This one right here, he says no servile work. That's gonna give you some freedom where you can feast. You know, we feast all the time. In Atlanta this year, we had to change it up a little bit because we're getting kind of big. We had to move the refreshments, you know, but it's just a lot of people. It ain't like here, but it's a lot of people, I know that. So we had to figure out something else. We just went to what everybody else been doing, refreshments, because you know how Negroes are sometimes. Black people, you tell them to bring a few refreshments, they gonna bring the whole party with them. It ain't gonna be no refreshments. So we was just like, we gonna bring refreshments. That way it's gonna be an all out, you know, party like it's always been. But usually we had been just celebrating like that, you know, because we have that freedom to do that. So we just made it. We just did refreshments, but you still can eat. You still can celebrate, which is y'all have food, right? Yeah, y'all can do that. It's a feast. You ain't got to just be sitting around looking at each other, and you know, you can eat food this day. So it said you should do no servile work there, but you should offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. What else it say?
And the Lord spake unto Moses,
Well, that's it on that. Move over to that's 25. Go to Joshua 6. Joshua 6. You pick this up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho and the king thereof and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Mm-hmm. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. Okay, so now like I said, Jericho was straightly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none came in. But he said in verse 2, he said, See, I have, telling Joshua, see, I have given into thy hand Jericho and the king thereof and the mighty men of valor. So it's already a done deal. For the most part, all they're going to have to do is just have some faith and do what the Lord tells them to do. It may seem a little weird, you know, because some of y'all might have heard about the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. And the way they came tumbling down, because Israel had to walk around Jericho. And it may seem strange, but it's just all about doing what the Lord said. What it said in verse 3, though? And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war,
Uh-huh.
and go round about the city once.
Mhm.
Thus shalt thou do 6 days.
Go ahead.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns.
Uh-huh.
In the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets.
Uh-huh. So now he giving them orders on what to do, telling Joshua this. He gonna go tell the priest what to do. But notice what he's saying. He said, look, you shall compass the city, all you men of war, and go around about the city once. Thus shall thou do 6 days, right? So for 6 days, they're just gonna walk around the city, walk around these walls. They will do nothing. This is the instruction that the Lord has given, right? Then he gonna tell them in verse 4 what? What is that?
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns.
Uh-huh.
In the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times,
Mhm.
and the priest shall blow with the trumpets.
Uh-huh. So now, look at what he got. For God, for the most part, 7 represent completion, but you see, he got 7 priests. It says 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns, right? Then it says, in the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets, right? But right there, this is all God has given us. We don't have to go off into anything else. Well, I don't got to go off into describing ram's horns. I ain't got to go off into describing the sound that rams make. That ain't necessary. Just stick to what we read. So he telling you that, hey, 7 priests gonna bear before the ark 7 trumpets and ram's horn, and the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpet, right? Go ahead and read. What else to say?
And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn,
Uh-huh.
and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout,
Mhm.
and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him.
And that's what's going to happen. Now, if you look at verse 4, it says, and 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horn, and the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times. Now, this ark, it's a representation of God. Like I was saying earlier this week, the ark of the covenant, or the ark that we would have with us, that was in a sense like something that represented Israel as a people. Like, you know how you have nations, all different nations for the most part have a different type of flag that represent that nation. Well, the ark will be something that represents us in a sense. But that's really more so pointing to the Lord. So it says here, 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns, and the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow the trumpets. What else? Well, we read 5, read 6 for.
And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests, and said unto him, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord.
Okay, so once again, he called that again. So now you're gonna talk to the priest. That's why it says in verse 6, Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. So now he just reiterated, he's telling the priest what the Lord told him. Read verse 8, go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord.
Okay, now notice what he called it now. They say they passed on before the Lord, right? But all the other verses, they was calling it before the ark of the covenant. Now it's saying they passed on before the Lord. Because really, like I say, that represent the Lord. So it's saying it came to pass when Joshua had spoken unto the people that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horn passed on before the Lord and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them, right? So now skip down to verse 15 and 16 and skip down to verse 20. We'll try to move through this real fast. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times.
Right, so they did what the Lord said. 6 of those days, they marched around the city 1 time. They didn't do nothing. They made no noise. Every day they walked around and went back in. On the 7th day, they went around the city 7 times. All right? Then what it say? Go ahead.
And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city.
Okay, so now it says, and it came to pass at the seventh time, right? When they walked around this city the seventh time, then the priest blew with the trumpets, and Joshua told them to shout. Just keep that in mind, because that's going to almost look similar to how the Lord going to return. He says, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city, right? What is saying in verse 20?
So the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
Right, so you're just kind of seeing seeing what's going to happen at the end of the world. You said it on a small scale with Joshua 6. Because this is how the world going to fall. Same thing, the Lord going to introduce his coming by way of trumpets. And that's what trumpets can do sometimes. Hey, it can be a sign of danger. For the most part, all of us know if the police get behind you, you ain't doing nothing wrong, you're going to move to the side, right? Most of us, we going to make sure our seatbelt on. Start sliding down. Make sure you start thinking in your head. Make sure, my registration right? I got insurance. Yeah, you got it. You just double check in your head. The police behind you. But for the most part, we got to get out the way. But when it comes to us, we have to get out the way and think about all those things. But an ambulance, he come making that noise behind you. To move out the way, right? Well, in this case right here, we hear this sound of these trumpets being blown on behalf of God. Look, he's on the way. He's getting ready to introduce himself now to the world, sisters and brothers. And it's going to be done by Trump. Just like with Joshua or the children of Israel in Jericho, hey, they had these trumpets being blown. And when that seventh trumpet was blown, look, that was it. The walls came down and they took the city. This is exactly how it's going to happen in the end of the world. And that's why it talks about it being a shadow of things to come. Go to Revelation 8 right quick. Revelation 8, because all you have to do is just go back to the Old Testament. You see it. But you would have to read the Old Testament to know what's going on. You can't just jump into the Bible in the middle of the book, sisters and brothers, and think you're going to get a full understanding, which is what we've been taught for the most part. With statements like, we don't have to read the Old Testament. We don't need to deal with that God in the Old Testament. We like this new God. Well, they're the same God. You don't walk into a movie when it's halfway done, do you? All right, then. So how are we going to read the Bible halfway? We need the whole thing, sisters and brothers. So Revelation 8, pick this up at verse 1. Go and read that.
And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
Now, the reason why the seventh seal is being introduced here, because during the time of the Great Tribulation, you got 6 seals that's going to be opened up on the world, sisters and brothers. And for the most part, these 6 seals are going to be handled, I'll say, by the Pope. We call that the Great Tribulation. So these seals are going to be poured out on the world, going to be unleashed on the world, and it'll be nothing but destruction. That's already going to be bad. This is why we talk about getting to the wilderness, for these 3.5 years, so we don't have to worry about this destruction that's going to take place. So these 6 seals, going to be nothing but destruction. There'll be a lot of bad stuff, coming on the world. But look, that ain't nothing compared to what God does. That's what the 7th seal is going to introduce. That's why I said when he had opened the 7th seal, because now God is about to get involved himself. It looks similar to what happened in Egypt. In Egypt, you had the pharaohs and their magicians and their sorcerers, doing things, trying to, I guess in a sense, combat with Aaron and Moses, right? Every time Aaron and Moses did something, okay, well, Pharaoh's like, wait, they can do it too. But it got to a point where they couldn't do nothing. They knew it was God that had gotten involved. You see? So just like with now, hey, the Pope gonna be able to do his thing for some time, even though God is allowing it. But it's gonna get to a point where God's gonna take over himself. And this is why it says, and when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half an hour. What else to say? Verse 2.
And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets.
Okay, that's kind of similar to what we saw in Joshua. You just seeing it on a bigger scale now. Jericho had to fall. Hey, the world about to fall too. And the Lord gonna come take the world. They said, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, just like them 7 priests, right? He said, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Remember them 7 priests, they were given 7 trumpets, right? But now you got these 7 angels, they were given 7 trumpets. And they gonna blow and destruction is gonna follow. But let's move to, we're gonna come right back and hold your finger in. Go to Revelation 15. Revelation 15. Revelation 15. And pick this up at verse 1. Revelation 15 to verse 1. Go ahead.
And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God.
But look at that though. Now you got 7 priests with 7 trumpets. Now you got 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, right? Then if you pay attention to what it says, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. So in other words, they got some vials that they're about to pour out on the world, and they got the wrath of God inside these vials that they're about to pour out, sisters and brothers. But this wrath is going to be introduced by these trumpets that these angels are about to blow. So everybody got a position. Everybody got a job. You got angels. Their job is to blow the trumpets. And then you got these other angels. Their job is to bring that destruction. That's why it says, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. But they can't do nothing until these trumpets are blown. So go back over to Revelation 8. Revelation 8. We'll pick it back up. Pick it up at verse 6. Oh, you go ahead.
And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up.
Now look at what it's saying here. It says, look, and the 7 angels which have the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound, right? Then it says, the first angel sounded. So the first angel blew the trumpet, and then it says, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. Who's responsible for that hail and fire mingled with blood? The angels that we saw over there that got the wrath waiting, right? That's why I say they can't do anything until the angels blow that trumpet. So you got one angel blowing the trumpet, then you got the other angel. Now he bringing that wrath. So the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burned up, and all green grass was burnt. Tearing the earth up. Go ahead. What else is that?
And the second angel sounded, and it was where, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea.
So now, first they was hitting the earth, right? Now they're about to hit the sea. That's why it says here, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. What else to say? Keep reading.
The third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died.
Keep reading.
And the third part of the ships were destroyed.
So the Lord is touching the main bodies of water. And you know man needed that to survive them. But now God is getting involved. It's similar to what happened in Egypt, sisters and brothers. But now just imagine it happening on a big scale now, sisters and brothers. So it said, look, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. What else?
And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water.
Right, so ain't no, even little pockets of water, lakes and rivers and all that stuff that even feeds some of the seeds. Hey, Lord gonna cover all of it. Lord gonna cover all of it. The third angel sounded, so pay attention to what's happening. Every time an angel sounds, destruction comes right behind it, right? That's why it says in the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. What else is that?
And the name of the star is called wormwood.
Which is a representation of poison. They say, look at it, well, that's one definition for it. But it said the name of the star is called wormwood, and what happened?
And the third part of the waters became wormwood.
Look, he done messed the water. I mean, hey, that's bad, because man needed that, though. He said the third part of the waters became wormwood, and what else?
And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it.
Right.
And the night likewise.
Right, but see, we ain't never seen nothing like this. We never seen nothing like this. This is gonna be a bad time. But it sounds just like what happened in Egypt, though. You know, because even in Egypt, tell you how it was so dark. It was like you can feel it. You know that got to be dark. You got like feel it. It's that dark. You know. But the Lord gonna do it all over again, sisters and brothers. This is why it's very important for us to read the Old Testament, because you're gonna see things that's gonna look similar to stuff that's about to happen in our time. And the crazy thing about it, like I was saying the other day, look, some of us gonna see this because this stuff is starting to happen in our generation. You know, y'all heard about it. I think Thursday. Wasn't that Saturday, right? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm getting sleepy. But hey, I got work to do. But Thursday, the president y'all voted for, he passed the thing where he said all the federal workers got to be vaccinated, didn't he? You know, and now I saw something on the site that I look at. It said, "Are the airlines next?" And they talking about that. They talking about passengers. You know, but and we know that's not the mark of the beast. Brother hit me the other day, was like, "Man, I'm starting to think this is the mark of the beast." Like, well, no, it ain't the mark of the beast, but the rhetoric behind it, it's definitely getting you prepared. You know, it's just funny how we had been discussing all this stuff years ago. Some people been dealing with the word for a long time. You know, and y'all might have been talking about this stuff. A lot of people new to the word and just starting to catch on to it. But people that, for the most part, if you were raised up in the church, you heard about the mark of the beast. You might not have understood it. You know, you might have thought it was all symbolism. You know, you ain't gonna be able to buy or sell, say you had the mark. That was mentioned back in the day, and people started getting away from Revelation because it was too scared. But now, out of nowhere, everything is starting to change. You know, that things that we thought possibly couldn't happen, we're starting to see it happen. So some people are gonna be alive to actually see this stuff happen. Some people may not make it, but for the most part, we in this time, and it's moving fast, sisters and brothers. But some people actually be around to see this, and this is why it would be good for you to try to do everything you can to please God, so you can be worthy of escaping these things that are coming on the earth. Most of us don't understand that you ain't automatically guaranteed to make it into the wilderness. You know, but if you going in hard for God, look, He's gonna go in hard for you. You know. They tell you, well, we got to shut down, we can't go to church. You say, I'm going to church. I don't care what you say. You know, the Lord have mercy on you when it's time to get out of here. He see that you willing to die for it. Hey, Lord may spare you. Just be like, you know what, you worthy to get into the wilderness. But some of us going to see it. What verse we at?
13.
Go ahead.
Then I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound.
Right. So now we thought what we was reading earlier was bad. These last three gonna be even worse. That's the thing. That's why you say, look, the last three. He said, I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason or because of the other voices of the trumpets of the three angels which are yet to sound. You think those other four was bad, but these last three are going to be terrible. Matter of fact, go over to Joel 2. Joel 2. Joel 2. We don't have to go to Nehemiah. Brother Will already read that, showing how when they came up to keep, they came back from captivity, they found in the law about, they met up on the seventh day of the first month, the first day of the seventh month. They were keeping trumpets. When they tell you that they had great mirth. In other words, they had a great time, excitement, laughter going on and stuff like that. And he told them, don't even be worried. Don't even be stressing none of that. This day is holy. This day is something God has set aside. Then he told them, when you leave, look, make sure y'all take something to the people who ain't got nothing. Back in the day when I was coming up, it went like this. We're going to take Sister Robinson a plate because she ain't got no food, so we're going to take your plate after church. That's how it went. So, in other words, when they was up keeping the feast, on the first day of the seventh month, they had a celebration, and then they took food to the ones, who didn't have anything, who probably couldn't make it up. But they took them some food too. So that means they was eating, right? But y'all read that in trouble, so ain't no need to read that because we're going to cut some of these scriptures out. So I'll pass that out quick because I need to. But what is it in Joel 2, verse 1? Go ahead.
Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain.
I can read.
Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
Okay, so we got a trumpet being blown, and the Lord ain't came yet, though. He not here. He hasn't came yet. Remember now, we got these trumpets that's going to be blown. That's going to introduce different events. So he said, look, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord come, for it is nigh at hand. What else to say? Verse 2.
A day of darkness and of gloominess. Go ahead. A day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And I know we cut past the fifth trumpet. We're going to go back and look at it, but really this is the sixth trumpet being blown. Because what's going to happen is, if you pay attention to what's going on in the world today, you may not know what conversations to listen for, but there is a such thing as a European Union. European Union right now is made up, I think, of about 27 countries. The UK got up out of it, so it's down to 27. They eventually going to narrow it down to 10 nations. They're going to give all their power to this man called the Pope. May not be this guy, but they're going to give all their power to him. And by them doing that, hey, it's going to be an army that they're going to form. They're going to bring all their armies together. And this man going to control them by way of his, I guess, partner or military man that's going to be running them, that's going to be guiding them, showing them, telling them what moves to make. So they're going to eventually go up to Jerusalem. They're going to be up in Jerusalem. They're going to take that down. And then the Lord's army is going to wake up themselves. The Lord's army, if you don't know, will be Russia and all their allies. Pay attention to how everybody talk about, we're going to do this to Iran and do this and that. And ain't nobody ever did none of Iran happen. They supposed to be making weapons of mass destruction. Ain't nobody mess with them happen. Because you ain't going to touch them. You're not going to mess with Russia. You're not going to mess with Iran. Russia and Iran back in the day are considered the Medo-Persian Empire. So you mess with them, you're going to have to mess with Russia. And ain't nobody going to mess with them because that's God's army. But eventually, they're going to get riled up. And when the sixth trumpet is blown, they're going to come down to Jerusalem. And the Lord's going to be behind all of that also. Because ultimately, what the Lord going to do, he's going to fight against these Gentile nations, all of them, sisters and brothers. Because that's what a lion going to do. He's going to come back and take over the world. So like it says here, a day of dark. What you read too? Okay. Okay, he said, look, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds, of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. So in other words, look, this army or these people that's coming over, it's going to be a 200 million man army that's coming over. 200 million man army. That's how many soldiers they got. That's a lot of people. 200 million soldiers. So like William was saying in class, look, you hit one of them, that's nothing. That's why I say later on, you read this on your own, talk about they ain't going to break their ranks. They're going to be climbing up the walls, coming all through the windows. Why? Because there's going to be so many of them. You kill one, that ain't nothing.
You got to kill, you do the math. Out of 200 million, kill one. How many is that? That's homework. Skip down to verse 10 and read that.
The earth shall quake before them.
Look, you say the earth gonna quake before them. Go ahead.
The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark.
Go ahead.
And the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army.
Oh, wait a minute. It said, look, and the Lord gonna do what?
Utter his voice before his army.
And the Lord gonna utter his voice before his army. Keep reading.
For his camp is very great.
Go ahead.
For he is strong that executed his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible.
Wait a minute, but I thought everybody was going to be happy to see the Lord return. It's going to be great destruction. See, people don't understand the God or Jesus that we've been introduced to is not the Jesus of this Bible. The Jesus of this Bible is going to tear this world up, sisters and brothers. Right now, you see all this sin going on, see all this homosexuality being pushed. All across the board in the churches, you ain't got to keep no law. You do what you want to do. But eventually, mankind going to have to answer for this behavior, sisters and brothers. And then the kings of this world ruling in wickedness, God going to take it down. Then he's going to bring righteousness to the earth. But he said, look, and the Lord said, utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong to execute his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can abide? Who's going to be able to last? Who's going to be able to stand, sisters and brothers? It's going to be a bad time. Verse 15, go and read, because now the Lord is getting ready to come. So we're going to have that sixth trumpet introduced, this army that's going to come from out of the east. They're going to come over to the west. That's what that trumpet is going to do. What we first read about in verse 1. We'll see that later on. But this trumpet right here now is getting ready to introduce our God, sisters and brothers. This is going to tie us right back to the holy days, which is why we keep these. So what it says in verse 15, read it.
Blow the trumpet in Zion.
Well, look at what it says. Blow the trumpet in Zion. Keep reading.
Sanctify and fast.
Wait a minute. Sanctify what?
Fast.
So what type of fast we got going on in a few days? Day of Atonement, right? But what did we do earlier this week? We blew the trumpet, right? We celebrated the blowing the trumpets. Because see what the Lord is doing, that's what he does with his holy days. He'll lay out and show you the plan of how things are going to be done. That's why you keeping Christmas and Easter and all that nonsense ain't got nothing to do with God. It got everything to do with them hustling you and getting your money. That's what they got to do with. The world can be in the red all year long, and they'll make their money back on Black Friday and Christmas. Be negative all year, they'll come back because it's all about money. And then you end up just looking like, well, I can't wait for income tax to be here, so you can get your money back. Because it's all the hustle. That's all it is. It's just a game. But when it comes to God's holy days, look, he's showing you his plan of salvation. So this is why this Friday coming up with Thursday, sundown, hey, we going to be keeping atonement. Laying it out there for you, sisters and brothers. He said, blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify fast, called what?
A solemn assembly.
Keep reading.
Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet.
Oh, look at that, though. You know why he's saying that? Because our God is on the way. That's why he said, let the bridegroom. Who is the bridegroom, sisters and brothers? Jesus is, right? Jesus is the bridegroom, and who is the bride? The church is the bride. But notice what it says. It said, let the bridegroom go forth, right? Of his chamber. That's Jesus coming out of heaven. But he's going to come out of heaven once that trumpet is blown. What trumpet we talking about? We talking about that last trumpet, sisters and brothers. This is why it's important for us to be observing God's holy days. That's what trumpets is all about. So he said, look, let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber and the bride out of her closet. But why is it saying that? Because, look, for the most part, the world don't know who the bride is. They've been telling us that the bride or the God's church, God's people, the world thinking that these people in Israel call themselves Jews. They think they're the real people. They think those are God's chosen people. No, God's people are in the closet right now. In other words, hey, the world don't really know. It's almost like it's hidden in a sense. But at this time, hey, he's telling them to come on out the closet. You kind of see it right now. We're starting to wake up all over the place, right? The secret is starting to get out. So that's really just, that's almost in a sense being, Lord is making reference to something being hid. I hate to give you this example, but when somebody say, stay in the closet, if you're in the closet, don't come out. Y'all know that, what they use that for when people like, I'm gonna come out the closet. Get back in the closet. Back in the day, you couldn't come out of the closet, could you? Back in the day, if you was sissy, a faggot, or whatever you want to call it, you ain't come out the closet. In other words, you kept that hidden. So y'all have heard that statement before, but look at how the Lord is using it in the Bible. Because for the most part, these people are hidden. Don't nobody know it. Then when you try to tell somebody, they think you crazy. They try to put that label on you. They call you a black Hebrew. Where's that in the Bible? Where's the black Hebrew Israelite in the Bible? The Hebrew Israelites have always been black. It's somebody else faking the funk system, brother. But for the most part, by us being in captivity and scattered throughout the world like this, ain't nobody paying us no attention. But you're going to have to at this time when the Lord comes, because, hey, getting his people out of captivity, bring them back home, that's on the agenda. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. And that's going to happen when that trumpet is blown. Skip over. Let's move back over to Revelation 16. And let's just see it a little bit. Let's see what we just read about in Joel. Let's see it again. Revelation 16. Revelation 16, and pick this up at verse 1. Revelation 16 and verse 1, when you get it, read it.
And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sword upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image.
All right, so verse 1, it said, I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth, right? So we just recapping what we saw earlier. So now let's go down to, we saw 15. So now we're in 16. So now let's skip down to verse 10. But if you look at verse 1, though, he said, pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. So one thing I just want to help y'all understand. The seals, there's 6 seals that's going to be open during the Great Tribulation. And that has everything to do with the Pope. Then you're going to get down to the 7th seal. When we get down to the 7th seal, it's going to be 7 vials that's going to be poured out. All right? You got 6 seals. Destruction going to come. When we get down to the 7th seal, when that 7th seal is opened up, you got the 7 vials of wrath that's going to come from God. And all those are going to be introduced by a trumpet. So in other words, you got 6 seals that's going to be bad by itself, right? Then you get to the 7th seal, and that 7th seal is open, you got all this destruction that's coming on top of that. It's going to be a bad time. We ain't seen nothing yet, y'all. We ain't even getting started, hadn't even scratched the surface. Y'all got to think about this when y'all start hearing all this crazy stuff going on. Like a guy asked me a few weeks ago, he's like, Nate, you still stocking up? I was like, nope, I ain't stocking up no more. I'm tired of stocking up. I've been stocking up for years. I ain't stocking up nothing else. Did it last year, that really did it for me. I went out there and bought all this stuff, and ain't nothing happened. I ain't looking for nothing to happen. I'm just reading all this stuff in the Bible, and I'm realizing I can't beat these people. I don't care how much food I get. I cannot beat these people. I can't beat no military. They come knocking on my door. What am I going to do? I can't beat them. I got to have faith in God. That's just it. I'm going to have faith in God, and I believe that. Reading that stuff about, when I read Daniel, I read about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I'm just like, do you believe this? Do you believe that God gonna help y'all out? Because the thing about it is, we actually moving to this time for real. So I'm realizing now that look, I can't be. I'm gonna have to have faith in God. And I think what's starting to make my faith pick up is that I'm starting to see the book unfold for real. Like I know it's real. I know Deuteronomy 28. I saw it. We seen that, right? We see that Deuteronomy 28 was there when we didn't even know it was there. Like, but most of us learned about it around my age. We learned about slavery and being transported on ships in school. We knew about that, right? So for me to go into the Bible and see it, that did give me a level of faith. That did bring my faith up, right? But now I'm starting to see this rhetoric about not being able to buy and sell and stuff like that, unless you got a vaccine. I know that ain't the mark, but just the conversation, I'm like, you know what? This thing's real, boy. This thing's starting to happen. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to believe like Daniel did. I'm gonna have to believe like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did. I'm gonna have to believe like Noah did. That the Lord's gonna deliver us. And if he don't deliver me, then I just gotta die for it. I ain't look, enough stocking up ain't gonna be able to beat this. You gotta stock up on your faith. That's what you need to stock up on. But it's gonna be a bad time. Move down to verse 10 and read that.
And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds.
And that's just, picking it back up at the last three woes, just telling you had the fifth angel poured out his vial, because of course you had that fifth angel sound his trumpet. And then, hey, this is why the fifth angel is pouring out his vial upon the seat of the beast. And it says they gnawed their tongues for pain and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds, right? Didn't even change. The Lord still have mercy. What else to say?
And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
Oh, but look at that though, because now we just saw, this army. That's why I say the Lord's army, right? In Joel 2, hey, they coming down to Jerusalem when that sixth trumpet gonna be blown. Look, they gonna come down to Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. But this trumpet is what's gonna introduce them coming down. Because see, ultimately what's gonna happen, the Lord is gonna get all these kings and meet them, right outside Jerusalem to fight this last world war, which we call World War III, sisters and brothers. So he said, the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water there was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So it's like a body of water that's kind of separating the kings of the east from coming down over to Zion or to Jerusalem to fight against those in the west. But the Lord gonna dry up that body of water so they can come on down. That's why it says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water there was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. What else to say?
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
Because see, even though God is behind the scenes, right? Just like I was saying earlier with King Ahab, the Lord allowed a lying spirit to be put in his mouth. All these, in the mouth of these prophets, these 400 prophets told King Ahab, look, you can go up there and take Ramoth Gilead. They was lying to him. But the Lord kind of gave you a behind the scenes look of what was going on. The conversation that was happening behind the scenes. Because Micaiah, somebody that was going to tell the truth, hey, King Ahab didn't want to hear that. He came and told him. He said, "Look, I did see Israel without a king. That means you go up there and try to take Ramoth Gilead, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna die." They didn't want to hear that. And then he kind of showed and went into details of how the Lord was talking to the angels that, I guess in a sense report to God, and they was having a conversation. And he was asking them, which one of y'all, which one of y'all gonna go up and I guess, trick Ahab? How you gonna do it? And one of the angels said, look, I'll be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. The Lord said, go do it. Just like these kings right here, hey, notice what's going on. Because like I say, God is behind it all. He allows everything to happen. But eventually, hey, it's all about getting them down there so the Lord can take them out anyway. Because look, America a small leaf on a branch. People like to call America Babylon. America ain't Babylon, sisters and brothers. Babylon is, for the most part, its headquarters right now is coming out of Rome. And then the Gentile dynasty as a whole is in power. That's going to include Russia. That's going to include China. That's going to include the Europeans, Italians. They running the world. We call them the white man, don't we? They running the world. Everybody had an opportunity. We down to the last one and their opportunity. And they done dropped the ball. And when the Lord get back, He's taking down their kingdom. But they're going to be so foolish that they think that they can fight God. So He said, look, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. Satan behind them, man. Come out of the mouth of the dragon. That's what we talking about. Talking about Satan. And out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Because the beast in this verse is the one that's actually going to control these armies. In other words, he's going to be like the commander in general, telling these armies what to do. You don't want to serve God? Y'all chop their heads off. Then you got the Pope, which is the false prophet. He just sitting on the side, acting like he all holy and stuff. That's why when the Lord get back, the beast and the false prophet hitting the lake of fire. Ain't nobody else going in until after the 1,000-year reign. But they're going to be in the lake of fire. And people that's going to be in Jerusalem, flesh and blood, get to go up and look every year. Ooh. I ain't going to do what y'all did. Because you're going to be able to see them. It'll be a reminder. You better get it together. He said, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. What else?
For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
Because that's what's eventually going to end up happening. He said, look, they're the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth into the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them together to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Because that's when the Lord is getting ready to return. Now He's getting ready to return, but His coming going to be introduced by a trumpet being blown, sisters and brothers. This is why you're observing the memorial of blowing the trumpets. So you will know what to look for when the body is actually in your face. Right now, it's just a shadow, right? But when that body's here, when it's here, actually, you'll know this is it. You won't be caught off guard like everybody, because you've been observing throughout time, looking for this time to come, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 17 and read that. Read 17, I'm sorry.
And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done.
Okay, so a question for everybody. It says here, and the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, right? That means the 7th angel poured out his destruction. That comes from God. But what happened before he poured it out? What has to happen before he pours out? Huh? Say it loud. No, you said it. Trumpets, right? You said it too, right? Somebody over there said it. But the trumpet got to be blown, right? Which trumpet? The 7th trumpet, right? The 7th trumpet has to be blown in order for this 7th angel to pour out his vial. Because you got trumpets match up with each individual, vial that's been poured out. First trumpet, first vial. Get it? Second trumpet, second vial. 7th trumpet, 7 vials. All right? What is that, 18?
And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great.
Keep reading.
And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell.
Oh, wait a minute now. But it didn't fall no sooner, right? Just like Jericho didn't fall no sooner. They went around the city, one time a day for 6 days. Nothing happened, right? Then on the 7th day, how many times they went around the city? 7 times. Just like you got 6 seals. You got 6 seals, destruction comes. Then you get to the 7th seal. Then you got 7 more vials. You got 7 vials of wrath that's going to be poured out. Just like on the 7th day, they went around the city 7 times. Look, just like Jericho. Then what happened once they got to the 7th, once the 7th seal, once the 7th vial was poured out, hey, Babylon is going to fall now, sisters, just like Jericho. He said the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. What else?
And great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath.
That's right. At that point, they're going to have to pay, sisters and brothers, no sooner. But they're going to have to pay because now the Lord is on his way. Revelation 11. Revelation 11. Pick it up at verse 15. Revelation 11 and verse 15. Go and read that from what it says.
And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever.
Right, just like we took the city back then, hey, they went up and took the city. Now, hey, the world it's going to belong to the saints now, sisters and brothers. By way of our Lord. That's why I say the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. What else?
And the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped God, saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
But look at what all this, look at what's happening now once the seventh trumpet is being blown. Look at all the stuff that's happening. First off, it says, look, and the nations were angry and thy wrath has come. But, I thought it was going to be happy to see Jesus. People act like they're going to be happy to see Jesus. They weren't happy to see Jesus back then when he came the first time. He was going against everything that they were preaching, and they ain't like that. And it was his own people. But the world as a whole, they ain't going to be happy about it. That's why I'm going to tell you in Matthew 24, they're going to mourn. It says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou should give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, right? No sooner. You don't die and get a reward immediately, do you? You die and go to the grave. So he say, look, at this time, now you got different things that are about to happen, sisters and brothers. The nations are angry, thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou should give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. So the Lord got a lot of stuff in his agenda, but at this time, hey, our reward that we working for, this is when the Lord gonna give it to us, sisters and brothers. So in other words, you're making an investment now into the kingdom. You're making an investment now by keeping God's holy days, by keeping his Sabbath days, by keeping God's law. Look, you're investing in the next life. It may seem like, hey, this is, it's useless, it don't mean nothing, but at the same time, look, you're going to see it later on down the line that this is what God will reward it. So you just got to be patient. Come hell or high water, you're going to have faith and be patient. Wait on the Lord, sisters and brothers. Keep God's commandments. Read 19.
And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail.
But you can't get away from that. Just like they had the Ark of the Covenant back then, hey, the Ark of the Testament still around. Covenant Testament means the same thing, sisters and brothers. But just similar to how it was back then, it's still important. Let's move over to Matthew 24. Matthew 24. Matthew 24, pick it up at verse 29. Matthew 24, verse 29. You get that going, read it. What's that?
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened.
It says immediately after the tribulation, right? No sooner, right? You say after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened. Go ahead.
And the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the Son of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Right, but he's not going to come no sooner than that, right? That's why I say immediately after the tribulation of those days. So Lord ain't coming to rapture us off to heaven nowhere. That's what's been talked about. Some people say that in religious circles. And they saying it even more now. And then they have people talking about pre-trib. But that's all false. The Lord ain't coming back to after this is over with. But what happens is people want to use some type of way to escape this destruction. We don't got a lot of them. If we just stick to what the Bible says and do what the Lord said, hey, we got a possibility where we can escape this. But he ain't gonna come back until after the tribulation. That's why I said immediately after the tribulation, in those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Touching the atmosphere, but it's gonna be a bad time, sisters and brothers. There's only one time like this. You're not gonna see this happen all over. It's just like that time when that eclipse happened a few years back. Have people call me like, you ain't scared? Actually, I'm gonna go fishing. I was riding. I'm looking behind me, it's getting dark, and I'm riding to the lake. Because I knew that wasn't it. Now, when this happened, this is gonna be something to fear, sisters and brothers. He said, look, and the sun, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Then in verse 30, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in clouds, and the clouds of him with power and great glory. If anybody tired, y'all can stand up, get something to eat, move around. You ain't got to sit there forever. I know it's like about 4 hours or something, if I'm mistaken. 3 hours. Yeah. So you can move around. You can move around, you got to go take a break, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you have to sit there. But what does it say? 31.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
Because we got some things that's going to happen at this last trumpet system. It's going to cover a lot of different things. He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. What else?
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
But we do need to identify which trumpet this is talking about, right? We need to identify. But just notice, Israel ain't going to be gathered out of their captivity, first off, until after the tribulation. Then on top of that, we got to hear trumpet being blown. So this is what we need to be preaching to people instead of, worrying about going back to Israel and even going back over to the motherland. Like in 2019, they talk about we coming home. Don't try to invite us home now. Because everybody know the word coming to me. So everybody want to kiss up to it. That's just like when he talk about in Joel 3, will you render me a recompense, O Tyre and Zion? Don't try to It's we don't need nothing. Matter of fact, we don't want no reparations. Stop trying to send us all these checks. You trying to buy forgiveness. The Lord gonna take care of it. But this is how it's gonna happen at the end of the world, and it's gonna be at the sound of a trumpet when he gonna gather his people, sisters and brothers. He's gonna send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Just talking about north, west, east, and south. Wherever Israel is scattered, hey, the Lord gonna gather us. Not talking about heaven like we up in the sky nowhere. Anything about the Bible? Hey, the Bible talks about 3 heavens in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. It's just that earth happens to be one of them, and this is where we scattered at, sisters and brothers. But move over to 1 Thessalonians 4. 1 Thessalonians 4, and I think, let's see here. Before we look at 1 Thessalonians, let's look at 1 Corinthians 15 right quick, then we go into after this. 1 Corinthians 15, let's just look at this and see which trumpets we're talking about. Because there's only 7 trumpets. So let's see when all these different things are going to happen. 1 Corinthians 15, pick it up at verse, pick this up at verse 51. All right, go ahead.
Behold, I show you a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump.
Now look at that though. He said, look, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In other words, we're not all gonna die. Because that's, for the most part, that's what happened to man, right? At the end of our existence as mankind, we die and go to the grave. But all of us ain't gonna die. That's what Paul is saying. He said, look, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. When?
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye.
At the last trump.
When we go bury Sister Johnson. Is that what it says? It said when we go bury Sister Johnson, that's when we gonna get it. Is that what the book says? The book don't say that, right? So that means what happened to the dead? They in the grave, right? So we can't go up to heaven. You know, we like to use that to comfort each other. It's not us in the word, but you look at the world as a whole. Somebody died, they put them off in heaven. Look, you ain't gonna do nothing until you're gonna sit in that grave and you're gonna wait until that last trumpet sound. It says, look, in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and what else?
And we shall be changed.
And we shall be changed. But when is that gonna happen? At the last trump, right? No sooner than that. So now let's move over to, let's go 1 Thessalonians 4. I just wanted to identify that particular trump. And that's the last trump, sisters and brothers. That's when it's gonna happen. 1 Thessalonians 4. First Thessalonians 4. And pick this up at verse 16. First Thessalonians 4, verse 16. Go and read that.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel.
Oh, but look at this though. We say, look, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. Because we at the end now, you know, just like they had Joshua told people to shout. It'll be the same way in the end. You got this shout, but this time is coming, you know, from up top. He said, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. What else?
With the voice of the archangel.
And
with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Right, but what trump is this? Which one? The last trump, right? That's what trump is. That's right, the seventh trump, the last one. And you saw that based on 1 Corinthians 15. You know, the dead gonna be changed in a moment of twinkling of an eye at the last trump, right? If it's only 7 trumps, it can only be the last one. Then it's saying here, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So we got a lot of different things that happen. The dead getting up, Israel gonna be gathered from captivity at this time. Then the Lord gonna return also. What else to say?
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord.
Keep reading.
Wherefore comfort one another with these words.
Right, and this is really talking about, you know, people dying. You know, you're gonna see them again. Some people use this, you know, to try to get you to believe in a rapture. This ain't got nothing to do with a rapture. This is really telling you how to comfort one another when somebody dies. And also, since we own that, I think Brother Billy, my condolences for, you know, people here. I didn't really know him, but just the time I knew him, he's real good brother, man. Seemed very humble, you know, but for those that have known him, that might have been personal, I do send my condolences, you know, to you all and his family as well. But hey, even with that, this is how we comfort one another, right? We're looking forward to hopefully seeing Brother Billy again later on down the line. We don't have to lie and put him off in heaven no more. But Lord willing, we can see that brother off in the kingdom, you know, when the Lord returns. But he said the Lord going to descend from heaven with a shout, himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first, right? Go to Psalm 47. Last place, like I said, y'all went over Nehemiah 8 the other day. That's mainly, you know, just to prove that we can't eat on that day. But the simple fact that the Lord told you no silver out work, he leaving that wide open anyway, so you can do something. And that's something that we talk about doing. Look, you can have fun, you have a good time, y'all can chill. You know, it's, you know, it got something to do with God. So we're gonna enjoy that. We're gonna celebrate that. And we're gonna eat a little bit. And when he said eat the fat and drink the sweet, look, we ain't talking about no doggone juice. Bring kids stuff here. No, we ain't talking about that. He talking about you can bring some liquor or you can bring some alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Just don't get crazy. But hey, you know the party don't start till they walk in with alcohol. So that's a part of it. Psalm 47. You just have to make sure you don't get out of hand, but you can do that as well along with you. Psalms 47, pick this up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Oh, clap your hands, all ye people.
Go ahead.
Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is terrible.
Now, if you shout to God with a voice of triumph, that's like victory, right? Oh, clap your hands, all you people shouting to God with a voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is terrible. Keep reading.
For the Lord Most High is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He is a great king over all the earth.
But that hasn't happened yet, has it? So you got in the Old Testament kind of highlighted showing you what's going to take place down the line in the future. So it said, look, for the Lord Most High is terrible. He is great king of all the earth. What else does it say, verse 3?
He shall subdue the people under us,
Uh-huh.
and the nations under our feet.
And that's what's going to happen in that 7th. He's going to take down the world, sisters and brothers. Then he's going to come back and set his kingdom up on this earth. That's why we pray thy what? Not go. We pray thy kingdom come, right? Because that's what we wait on. We wait on the Lord to return, sisters and brothers. And eventually it's going to happen. Go ahead.
He shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loved, Selah.
That's right, keep reading.
God has gone up with a shout.
That's right, almost like an introduction in a sense. But you're going to find that, we looking at it again like we saw in Thessalonians, right? He said, God is going up with a shout. What else?
The Lord with the sound of a trumpet.
Wait a minute, the Lord with what?
The sound of a trumpet.
Because that's how he's going to come, sisters and brothers. That's going to introduce the Lord returning. And he's going to bring some destruction. But it ain't going to be nothing quiet. It ain't going to be nothing secretive and none of that. But this is how he's going to make a great entrance into the world. And that trumpet is what's going to introduce his coming. God is going up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. Go ahead.
Sing praises to God. Sing praises.
Mm-hmm.
Sing praises unto our King.
That's right.
Sing praises.
That's right, because the Lord is on his way. Go ahead.
For God is the King of all the earth. Sing ye praises with understanding.
That's right. So I hope somebody got some understanding in Jesus' name. And going to have the announcements.
Our prayer is that the eyes of your understanding were enlightened by today's lesson. Please tune in to Thy Kingdom Come television program, which airs in various locations. Please join us at our other study classes for question and answer Bible study every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time via conference call number 860-970-0010 with access code 343-531-334#. Also stream live via our website at thykingdomcome7.com. If you feel you are ready to be baptized, please sign the baptismal list at the podium or the rear of the class and speak with Brother Will. The following is the dress code for all our services. All clothing should be modest in appearance. Nothing tight-fitting, overly baggy, sagging, or revealing should be worn. Men are to remove hats and all head coverings, no shorts. Women should wear a head covering such as a hat or scarf, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 1 through 7. If your child becomes noisy during the lesson, distracting other members, please remove him or her from the room. Any tithes and or free will offerings should be placed in an offering envelope and put in the offering box near the rear of the class. Pray for our strength as we pray for you. Until next Sabbath, peace.
Guess y'all got a Thursday sundown. The atonement. Friday, I'm not sure how we're gonna do it yet. Let me see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the teachers coming. I don't know. Tell you that.
Tony?
Yeah, maybe somebody coming.
Yeah, I believe it's Brother Mikael.
Okay. All right. So it says the next feast days of the Day of Atonement, the affliction of our souls begin Thursday, September 16th at sundown. Lesson begins Friday, September 17th at 1 p.m. at the hotel. Keep in mind that the Day of Atonement ends as the week of Sabbath begins. Yep. You should have purchased and prepared your food prior to the start of atonement. So you got a double Sabbath. So you want to take everything you can before sundown Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Whatever food y'all eat for the week of Sabbath, make sure you have all that. In preparation for the feast, remember that all business of commerce, such as buying and selling, must be done prior to the sundown of the day. Well, y'all took the day. Boy, that's good.
Keep it 100, man.
You gotta keep 100.
Yeah.
Well, you better talk like you from the hood. You do no work. Brother Will is doing a great job, man. I want to definitely thank you, man. Definitely doing a great job. So, all that was said today, I just want y'all to know I love y'all. I love you, Brother Advisor. And I really believe that brother is a great teacher, man. We just gotta work that out. But other than that, man, please, sisters, y'all keep that noise down. Brothers, y'all gotta, y'all gotta work together as a team. You know what I'm saying? Every time I come, I see y'all. I see y'all brothers here, so y'all gotta work together as a team to keep things in line. It ain't nothing bad, sisters. Sisters are great sisters, man. Y'all come and get in the word. Like I said, y'all help us keep things in line. But it just gotta be order. And the order gonna start with the brothers, and then from there on out. So however y'all do it, however y'all set things up, feel y'all already know, that's gonna be a reflection of y'all. So if y'all letting things get out of line and stuff like that, it's a reflection of y'all. We don't talk to y'all about it. You know what I'm saying? But it don't gotta be done with no iron fist and none of that. Go people to the side and talk to them nicely and try to do things because we're trying to recover people and save people. And some people you can't deal with in the same way as you can deal with somebody that's hard. Like I'm from, like I said, I'm from Florida, so we do things totally different. People up north may do things totally different too. People in the Midwest may do things different, so just keep that in mind when dealing with God's people. But other than that, we're gonna face you when we close out. And we can just chop it up. I might run to the restroom and I'll get out of here about 5:30.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth,
thy will be done in earth,
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord,
Praise the Lord,
for he is good,
for he is good,
for his mercy shall endure forever.
for his mercy shall endure forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
for he is good,
for he is good,
for his mercy shall endure forever.
for his mercy shall endure forever.
These things we pray in Jesus' name,
These things we pray in Jesus' name.
the Holy One of
The
Israel,
Holy One of Israel,
the Lion of the tribe of Judah,
the Lion of the tribe of Judah,
the King of kings,
King of kings,
and Lord of lords.
Lord of lords.
Amen.
Amen. The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
and be gracious unto thee.
and be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
and give thee peace.
and give thee peace.
They shall put my name upon the children of Israel,
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel,
and I will bless them.
and I will bless them.
Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Praise God. Listen,
Stay out. Did you bring food?
I need to wait a
Okay, I'll be ready.
Good to see you.